For best album front to back, like most consistent record front to back, I believe I picked Nines and Sixes by Mock Orange. And then
Yeah.
for best catalog for me, I picked Lifetime because I don't dislike a single Lifetime song or
Okay.
think that a song is boring or just like insignificant. So I picked Lifetime.
And those are the best bands where you just keep listening to them.
Yeah, man. Like we were driving home from our friend's house today, and we're listening to Jawbreaker, and I think they do have some
Hell yeah.
songs that I don't really know or like want to go out of my way to listen to, but that band's incredible. Just to Brazil is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, just this one of those bands where it's similar to Lifetime, where I'm like, I'll go months without listening to, and then I'll hear like a Jawbreaker song, like Ashtray Monument, and I'll be like, oh man,
Yeah.
I got to go on the rabbit hole of this band now, and then I got to listen to all his other projects and just
Yeah.
go.
I feel like a lot of people are getting into Jawbreaker now too. I see a lot of kids with shirts on at shows. I feel like
Good.
their music's still getting out there. So, did
Yeah.
you learn any new hobbies in quarantine?
How to record vocals like at home. I've been learning in Logic. I've been learning Logic. Um, I'm setting up a good amount of speakers. Like I bought a house and we have like a lot of like speakers handed down and from friends and stuff. So I got to learn how to put that together. Hobbies. I mean, I'm good at making pizza. I'm good at.
Really?
Oh, I got a Traeger grill.
Okay.
Learning how to smoke meat and smoke like a whole chicken. So I've
Yeah.
smoked like three
Nice.
chickens since I bought one. That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, everything food related. And then I just bought a modded Super Nintendo Mini with
Oh.
9,000 games, and then um, I got two of the wireless Super Nintendo controllers. I got the Famicom one, and then the Super
Oh
Nintendo.
shit.
So I got basically an arcade in my house. The only thing I'm bummed out is I should have got controllers with analogs because it comes with N64. But I
What?
That's
didn't
what I was
think of
gonna
that.
say.
I didn't think of
Oh
that,
my
but I
god.
can go back. I have a Pro controller, but I don't know how to hook a Pro controller up to a Mini, and I'll probably have to buy an attachment. But I'm psyched because I just brought. Once this comes in the mail, I just basically brought in an arcade to my house, and quarantine is going to be a lot easier
Oh, that's
um,
sick.
overall.
Dude, we could go on and on about all those
You-
N64 and Super Nintendo games. They're the best, man. They will
If
never get old.
you're on an island and you had to pick one game, what would it be?
Oh, fucking Mario Party.
Oh,
100%.
Mortal Kombat, Sub-Zero, Mythologies.
Okay.
We bought.
Mine would be Link to the Past on SNES, my favorite game of all time.
Yes.
Or Seiken Densu 3, the Secret of Mana 3. And basically, for Super Nintendo is unbelievable. But yeah, those are my
Damn.
favorite two, I think.
We bought a new Nintendo 64 during quarantine.
Yeah, I remember
Wayne
that.
Gretzky's 3 hockey.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is the funnest game to play against someone, I think, besides Smash Brothers, obviously, but
Oh, yeah.
Mario Kart, obviously. But yeah, I could go on forever though.
Yeah, I think Mario Party is just always gonna be my favorite game of all time. That and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Yes.
Three's great. Three's
Fuck.
great. My favorite, I think, that I had like the most memories with are, of course, one. Like when one came out, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So many great bands from whoever does the soundtrack to those games is a legend.
Dude,
Oh, dude,
Whoever,
like
The
they
third
have,
one
like,
got me into so many bands. The third one got me into AFI. It got me into CKY.
Aesop Rock is on what, number 4? I didn't love 4, but I remember I found out about Aesop Rock from Tony Hawk 4, which is a big deal. And then Paint It Black's on one of the Tony Hawks. I don't know if they're on Tony Hawk 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think it was 3. If
Three. I
I
think
could
that
be
was
wrong
3.
though. Don't quote me on that though.
Underground's unbelievable too. Let's not forget about that.
Oh,
Jeez.
no.
Undergrounds. And American Wasteland was decent.
I didn't get into Wasteland, but I was also like not home or I was at school. Something about when that game came out, I just wasn't able to play video games really at the time. So
Yeah.
I remember I missed the 8, whatever the 8 game was. I think there was like it wasn't Tony Hawk 8, but it was something about 8, or maybe it was Wasteland. There's a few that I missed.
I borrowed it from you one time, Kellen, remember?
Which one?
It was for Xbox 360. It was the 8th Tony Hawk game. I can't remember.
Oh,
off the
I
top
know
of
what you're
my
talking
head.
about. Project 8.
Project 8.
Project Day. Yeah, I
Yeah,
missed
yeah.
that, and I missed Wasteland. I didn't play either of those, and I don't know. I think if I had to pick one, if you're on an island and you had to pick one Tony Hawk game, mine would be Tony Hawk Underground because you get some of the old levels and the gameplay is ridiculous.
Oh,
And
insane.
they have like a Dave Mirra or is it a Matt Hoffman level?
Yeah.
I know it's from one of the BMX games, which I thought was really cool that you could do that like a what if. But anyway, I could go on and on.
We should have like a whole video game episode eventually.
Yeah, well,
Totally.
I
Yeah.
got to do like an occasional video game podcast. There's probably so many video game podcasts out there. But yeah, I would definitely do those.
No,
I did a
that'd be
movie
sick.
podcast recently, but that's really it. Everything else has been pretty much music related.
Yeah, that's
Speaking of
actually what
which,
yeah, you go.
oh yeah. Speaking of which, have you seen any good movies lately?
We just rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood today. We watched that today.
So good.
Excellent.
Loved it. We got the bonus features, like all the extra stuff they did around the movie. Not really. I mean, I've been watching WandaVision. I've watched every episode of The Mandalorian about 3 times.
Excellent.
Love The Mandalorian.
He was in an episode of that.
I was
What?
episode 4, season 1.
Are you kidding me?
Not kidding you.
What's your character? You were like one of the village.
So we were like one of those villager people, like where like
Can I
like
find
we
you?
like we get like attacked by that ATST thing, and then the Mandalorian comes and like teaches us how to fight. I get to shoot a blaster in that one shot where we're doing target practice. I get to
How do you
shoot a
feel?
blaster. It's that's the thing. Dude, like, that's the thing. It wasn't a big role. I didn't have any lines or anything. It was just like, but you know what? It's just to say you get to work on something Star Wars related. It's amazing.
But it's also you're working on something Star Wars related that's going to be remembered and rewatched for a long time because I mean, in my opinion, because Mandalorian is one of the parts of Star Wars, like just anything created visually of Star Wars that was done extremely well, and anything like that, like Rogue One, I feel Rogue One was done really well. I know some people don't love it.
I love Rogue One.
I love it. It's one of my favorites.
So I gotta see that.
Yeah,
I've been like, oh, go ahead.
So I didn't like Solo, but I liked the train scene, and I didn't like a lot of the newer ones. I did not like The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I was laughing during that movie. Like, this sucks. Like, some parts were cool. There's some
parts were fun, but yeah, it was kind of laughable.
It's
then,
just, I just, there was a lot missing with the new trilogy, and that's the thing. It's just, I felt like it could have been done better.
But Mandalorian just comes in. It's like, remember all the stuff you loved about old Star Wars?
Yes.
It's all here, and it's not just fan service. They're actually like.
So have you seen the recent episode, like the very last episode of season 2?
I've seen all of Mandalorian, each episode 3 times, and then some of the last season I've only seen, but I've seen some of those later episodes only twice. But the one I don't want to spoil anything. The last one that came out.
Yes, it was
the last one that came out I've seen 3 times, and that was the most important.
Dude, it was such a big surprise. You know what? Screw it. Let's spoil it.
No.
You haven't seen it? You haven't seen it? Or you have? Yeah, you have.
I've seen all of them. Yeah.
We don't want to spoil for other people.
But no, like bottom line is, I think and I'm not just saying this because I had a small involvement in it. Like I've been a Star Wars fan since the late 90s, since I was a kid.
I would literally get on a plane yesterday and fly to be anything in a Star Wars anything. That is so awesome.
It kind of just fell. The long story short, it kind of just fell into my lap. I didn't know what I was signing up for. They didn't tell me what this was. They gave me a code name so nobody would tell anybody, and then we signed the biggest non-disclosure agreement by Disney, saying
excited when that happened. You're like,
oh yeah,
this is something.
Oh yeah, like I had to get fit into a wetsuit and all that stuff because I actually fell in water in a shot that was cut.
Oh damn.
So, but like a long story, bottom line was it was fun. Yeah, Good. Like I'm
That's
gonna
a
say
bucket
this.
list thing. You got to check off a bucket list thing that people don't even. I mean, no, I think there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there that on their list, their most important thing they could do in their entire lives would be an extra or a stormtrooper or anything, or just hold a boom mic or anything.
Well, long
Star Wars.
story, funny story. If you've seen what was the first episode of the new trilogy? I should know this. I'm having a brain
Is it
fart.
Force Awakens?
Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig, 007, is one of the stormtroopers, and he has
That
a
should
small
make me
cameo.
feel good. He
Oh, I
wanted to be
saw
a
that.
trooper in one of the newer movies that is quite. Some people say it's not as good as Mandalorian, where you got to actually be in something as cool as like Rogue One. I actually think it's cool. I think that the original series, especially Empire Strikes Back, is. I think Empire Strikes Back is the greatest thing Star Wars. Period. Then I think it's New Hope. Then I think it's Rogue One.
Yes.
Then I think it's Return of the Jedi, or Rogue One and Return of the Jedi tied, just because you have that grainy, that old style camera, and you obviously have the original cast, like the original actors. So maybe I would say Return of the Jedi before Rogue One, then Rogue One, then I would put the Mandalorian like tied with Rogue One, just as a whole. And then I don't care from there, but I love some of the parts of the prequels. The prequels have the best lightsaber fights, period.
I agree.
I think if you could get those fights back, and I don't know if they used the choreographer. I believe they used a choreographer related to like, that movie Hero and Crouching Tiger. I don't know for sure, but I remember as a kid maybe seeing a documentary or thinking like they had someone from that movie franchise or someone as good as that came in, and that's why the lightsaber fights are so badass.
And if you could get another actor like Ray Park, who was Darth Maul, an actual martial artist who can do all those tumbles and flips to play a new character, that would be perfect.
I think Mandalorian could do that. They're just pulling out all these great cards, and I think hopefully when they get into more of the Jedi stuff, maybe that's what they do, because that's the.
So I got a question for you, Star Wars related, and then we can go like.
Then we'll go into the.
Yeah. So because now they're doing spin-offs of Obi-Wan Kenobi and like also Boba Fett. Who is a character you want to see a spin-off of?
From Star Wars?
From the Star Wars universe.
Dude, that's a tough question.
I want to see, me personally, I want to see more of Count Dooku.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, I love Darth Maul's character. I think I would want to see like anything with Darth Plagueis or like anything from like older. Like, so with Lord of the Rings, I love that they have Sauron and then they have Morgoth, which is like the bad guy that's from way back when. So there's something about that in any kind of franchise that really intrigues me. So I guess the first like dark Sith Lord of all, like the first Sith Lord kind of spin-off would be cool, just to kind of see the origins of the Jedi or however they say it. That would be really cool. Yoda having his own series would be cool. Yeah, anything on, what is it, Yoga's Planet Dagobah? I don't think I could nail down an exact character I'd want their own series. But I will say, if I got to pick one thing, Star Wars, it would just be just focusing on that planet. I thought that was one of the coolest parts of Star Wars, was just Yoda's planet. Dagobah was so swampy and weird and mysterious. And just that, I would just want more anything of that planet would be cool.
I agree. Totally agree.
So I just wanted to say there's this one movie I just saw the other day called Psycho Gorman, which I don't know if you've heard of that.
I'll check it out right now.
It's batshit crazy. It's basically this like horror comedy where this 8-year-old girl. Okay, so it's like this like monster comes from this other planet, comes to Earth, and this little girl steals his like spear thing that he always has in his clutches, and she basically can control him now because she's got that. So she'll just be like, "Oh, fuck you, sit over there," and like she'll literally make this monster do whatever she wants, basically. And
it looks like an 80s movie.
Yeah.
But it looks like they pulled it from like an alternate universe. Like, it doesn't look like a movie trying to be an 80s movie. It looks like it's an actual 80s movie. Yeah. Which you got to commend anyone that can pull that off. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm like, gonna watch that.
It's so good, and it's got a lot of that like purposely bad acting on purpose, and really.
Neil Breen, you need to write this down if you don't know who he is. Neil Breen Fateful Findings is the first Neil Breen movie that I've seen. This man has made some of the most awesomely bad movies I have ever seen in my life, and I know that people would probably disagree because it's such a statement. But I think that if the guy from The Room didn't blow up, this guy would have blown up. I think in an alternate universe somewhere, everyone's freaking out about this guy's shitty movies.
Dude, it's the best.
Unbelievable.
It's the best when it's unintentional, though. Are they bad like unintentionally?
I think so. He's just an all-around guy. He's just doing it all. He's the writer, the director, the star. The effects are so bad, and there's so much. You can tell there's a lot of love and care put into it.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like Trauma.
If this is on purpose, if this is bad on purpose, then this guy is the funniest comedian that has the least successful career. I believe that these were made to be good and they're bad. They're awesomely bad. And I believe that he really tried to make some good movies with a very low budget.
Yeah.
And do it all himself and just be like a Renaissance man. Like, I'm just going to do all the things. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So he probably edits it too. Like, just watch Fateful Findings, which is my favorite, but just watch the trailers of 2 to 3 of his movies and tell me
it's not
this guy does not deserve to be the next biggest.
Hell yeah.
Like shitty movies like guy like The Room. I can't remember his name. Tommy what? What's it?
Tommy Wiseau.
Wiseau. I feel like he should be. I think he should be just as important in the eyes of the public for Awesomely Bad. I think he's gaining traction, but it didn't blow up like The Room did.
Tommy Wiseau did a movie a couple years ago. It's a sequel to a movie that was like one of those awesomely bad movies from the early '90s called Samurai Cop. And do you remember, Kellen? Do you remember what's his name? Robert Starr. We almost met him one time. The Maniac Cop. He's in it. He's in this movie.
Hilarious.
Yeah, so and like Samurai Cop. It's just like so awesomely bad, but it's just so funny to watch. And like so in the second movie, Tommy Wiseau is in is Tommy Wiseau. Sorry, Tommy Wiseau is in the second one that they just put out not long ago. And I've heard it's almost like The Room meets with Samurai Cop.
Yeah. Okay, I have to watch that.
Yeah.
We actually got
Samurai
to meet
Cop
Tommy.
too.
Remember we met Tommy a couple years ago we were at the Room screening. Have you ever gotten to see The Room like in person? It's amazing.
Like go and see it in the theaters, you mean? Or
yeah, if you go see it in the theaters, people bring plastic spoons and they literally throw it like in the movie, during the movie.
Now, don't they do that during Rocky Horror too? Rocky Horror as well? It's a spoon throwing thing, or do they throw something else?
Rice. They throw rice, I think.
Rice.
Yeah. The one Rocky Horror event in like college, and I just remember being like, what is going on?
What's going on?
Whole thing.
No, because in Room.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Do you
know
just
all like the crowd antics?
Yeah, no, it's freaking nuts. But in Room, I don't know if you know, there's like spoons that are like on these picture frames throughout the movie, and whenever that appears on the screen, people will literally grab like handfuls of plastic spoons and just freaking throw them in the theater.
That's so good.
Kellen and I saw it at the Egyptian Theater almost 3 years ago, and I'm just like, what is going on? And before that.
Place.
And before that, Tommy like did a Q&A, and he just has the most bizarre stuff going on during the Q&A. And afterwards, I remember Kellen was like trying to get his DVD autographed by Tommy, and then Kellen accidentally dropped the like Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, and then Tommy just straight up said, "You're tearing me apart, brother." And I just started, I completely lost it. And and like there's a picture of me, Kellen, and Tommy somewhere, and like in the picture, like we both have like the biggest smiles on our face. It's the funniest.
Oh my god, that's a bucket list too. That's a bucket list moment as well.
If Tommy ever comes to your area and he's doing like a Room screening, go to it. You will not be disappointed. Take that opportunity.
So fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's done.
So what was it like growing up in Massachusetts?
growing up in Massachusetts, first, so, and first memory I have is playing Sega Genesis without a controller in the system. My brother would put it under the system, so I felt like I was playing. Second earliest memory, shoveling snow while my friends were sledding in front of my house because there was this big gully, like the big woods just like goes down. Born with a snow shovel in my hand. I hated the winters there. People are amazing there. Some of the biggest, like, you'll never meet someone like this anywhere else. So many of those moments back home. Food is incredible in Massachusetts. Winters are miserable. It's you're basically in Canada. You're in Massachusetts, North Shore of Massachusetts, and you go west and you go straight, you're hitting Canada. You know what I mean? That's basically what growing up in Massachusetts is.
Trust me, we know because we're both from Buffalo.
Oh, you have it worse, actually.
We have it worse.
The lake effect.
Yeah, Buffalo is way worse. I think
so bad.
No, I think Buffalo is definitely worse as far as winter goes than Massachusetts, but Massachusetts is bad. Yeah, growing up in Massachusetts was great. A lot of characters. I was very quiet in school. I got picked on pretty bad when I was young, and I always talked back. Everyone talked back. When you got bullied, you always talk shit back to people.
Of course.
Stood up for yourself, like a lot of my friends did. So you had to get in a lot of fights because of that. So I grew up in a very Italian, Irish suburb where there was probably like a fight after school at least once every like 4 days or 5 days. But it wasn't like rough or violence or anything. My town was really bad with drugs. There's a lot of drugs, prescription drugs, like epidemic in the towns that I'm from, unfortunately. Food, again, incredible. Hard workers. Everywhere I'm from is like the hardest worker I've ever met. They're just everywhere. Everyone's just like balls to the wall, like just work will set you, like, you know, work is the way, like just work themselves into the ground almost. Kind of unhealthy. Streets there are ridiculous. You can get lost anywhere driving around where I'm from.
Really?
Oh yeah. Pretty enforced. I'd say it's a pretty restricted place overall, law wise. Like, you know, there's so many things you're not supposed to do for Massachusetts. Like, I remember in my town, you weren't supposed to have like bonfires in the backyard or like a fire pit. You weren't obviously supposed to have fireworks. You couldn't light off fireworks. Everyone I know had parking tickets. My wife had like thousands of dollars in parking tickets at one point. I think I had a couple hundred. And then it's really expensive to live there. So you'd save up money and then you'd find it. Where did it go? Like, where did everything? So that's basically Massachusetts overall in a nutshell. But the best part about Massachusetts are the people, the dedication of what people do, how smart people are. Very intelligent place overall. Had a lot of amazing conversations while at home, while in Massachusetts, or just with anybody. And then food is, I think, the best thing about Massachusetts is the food.
And you're a big Mexican fan. I heard that.
Mexican food, unbelievable. The best Mexican food I've ever had is in Texas. Texas,
so good there.
The burrito is from Texas. It's from like the Wild West era.
Okay.
I believe. And the best food I've ever had is in Texas, and it's always from like a street cart, like a street vendor.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
We've been to a bunch of cities in Texas, like, let's see, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, El Paso. I mean, I only think Houston's like the only one I haven't been to, and like maybe Fort Worth.
I think Austin, I had the best Mexican food I've ever had in my life. But then Massachusetts has this place called Tenoch that's incredible. Incredible. Felipe's is amazing. We used to go there every Sunday with like friends, and we wouldn't even tell someone that we're gonna go. We would just go, and then one of our friends would show up, and we'd be like, "Yeah, what's up?"
Because it's just the hangout spot.
It's so good. Border Cafe, which is Tex-Mex, that's on Route 1. They have like 4 or 5 locations. I know they have a location. I think they have one in New Jersey, and then there's one. Oh, is that? Yeah, there's one in New Jersey. There was one in Charlotte, I believe, at the airport. But Border Cafe is probably my favorite Mexican place. Like that's Tex-Mex, but that's one of my favorite restaurants, and that was in my hometown of Saugus, Massachusetts. And I went there in middle school. I went there 4 times in 1 week.
Oh damn. So you're a fan.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to try any of like the crazy buffalo foods like chicken wings and beef on whack?
No, I
Oh,
think I've had buffalo wings in Buffalo like maybe once or twice, but I don't feel like I ever went to like the spot. You know what I
oh,
mean? If there's like a spot, I've heard of the spot or a
yeah.
spot, like that, but I've never actually gone. But I have had some incredible subs in Buffalo,
Jim
and just gone by
Steakhouse.
myself. Just left the venue and just walked and just got food. And what I love about Buffalo is when you order food there, if you go somewhere, if the people are mean to you, it's usually the best food.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
meaner they are to you, like, come on, what are you getting? Like, you know what I mean? The meaner they are, the better your meal's going to be. And that's the same in Massachusetts.
That's funny you bring that up. I was actually in Buffalo in October, and I went to this one pizza place, which was on Bailey Avenue, I think. I think it was just Bailey's Pizza, it was called. And I had never been there, but it's like highly regarded. And I get there, and it's like in the worst part of the hood.
Mhm.
Like I had no idea. I get there, I thought I was gonna get stabbed. But the pizza was absolutely insane.
Oh, man.
So it was
Is it
worth
worth?
it.
So it's
It,
worth dying for.
it was
Worth it.
worth it. It was just
Worth
kind of
dying.
silly.
Pizza worth dying for.
Yeah. So the music scene in Massachusetts over the years has been absolutely ridiculous with bands like Slapshot, Have Heart, Converge, Dropkick Murphys, Lost for Words. Some of these bands have made me think of Massachusetts as a hard place to grow up, but it seems like you've really enjoyed it. So
Yeah, a lot of people like, I've been asked a few times. Growing up in Massachusetts, I've been asked where I was from. And I'm like, that way. Like I live 10 minutes that way or 20 minutes that way, depending on where I was working at the time. But I've got asked if I was from California. I've been asked if in Massachusetts, I've been asked if I was from California. Someone asked me if I was from England.
why would they ask you that though? You got the
What?
accent.
Because not everyone has an accent, and I think sometimes people are stupid.
That's
Like
crazy.
some people are dumb and they ask stupid questions. But I've been asked, and on the road, I've been asked if I was from England, South Africa. I've been asked if I was from Australia. That happens more in this country when you're not in Massachusetts and you go somewhere else and people
That's
hear your
funny.
weird accent and they're like, "Whoa!" But no, I am very much, I believe that like happiness is a choice and it's a state of mind that you strive for.
Mhm.
And I am a very happy person. I choose to be a happy person. And I constantly surround myself and do things and build things and make songs. And I constantly try to do things that make me happy. And,
Hell yeah.
I'm married. I'm married to my best friend in the whole world. Like I found the perfect person to be with. I have
Nice.
two cats and they're ridiculous. It's like a little circus. Like everything they do is so ridiculous. And yeah, I mean, I'm a very happy and positive person. I was raised by a pretty big Italian family. My parents split up when I was in middle school, and my mom raised me. She worked three jobs, raised three kids, working three jobs, and then my aunt was a really big part of my life. My cousin Lisa is they're all still, but were really big parts of my life. So I was raised by like really strong women overall, and people that stepped up to the plate when they needed to when my parents divorced. And I think because of just being around that, and some of my first bosses I had like in high school, I did printed circuit board design in high school because I went to school for drafting and design and engineering.
Yeah.
And my first boss, Matt Leary, is unbelievable. He was obsessed with music. He loved that I did transit. He supported me to go tour and come back and work for him. He taught me U2. He taught me Rush. Like he brought me under his wing and like taught me
Damn.
all these great bands that I knew about but didn't really appreciate. Like I didn't really care about U2 and some of their like older music,
Yeah.
earlier stuff. And I don't know, I've just had a lot of like awesome people come into my life, and I don't know, I'm just really thankful.
Damn. So
Nice, man.
Massachusetts is like super supportive then. I wonder if that worked for a lot of bands, like people would give them jobs just because that's
Yeah,
what
I
their
mean, look, I got a
mentality.
job through high school because I was one of the best in my class. Me and my friend Sean, my friend Rob DeRocha. There was a few people, Levy Camacho. There's a few people in my class that were like really into design, like really into 3D design and CAD,
Yeah.
and like we got a passion for it. So he could tell that with me. So I got a job like while I was in high school, and I got to like go and just go to school and then, and work a job and then work on the weekends. And then I graduated and I was working for him as well. But he was I heard a lot. All I'm saying is like, I had a lot of, I think I surrounded myself or tried to find inspiring people to be around and supportive people to be around.
And it worked.
And yeah, that's why I'm positive. There's a lot of negative people where I'm from. Oh my goodness. You can't go 10 feet without a sob story or woe is me or the world did me wrong. Like, you can't go 10 feet in any direction. Where I'm from.
Being happy, like you said, it's a choice, man. And you know what? It's the best choice you could ever make.
Yeah, I write really sad music, and I honestly think some of the songs I'm working on now are some of the saddest ones for me, like ever. But that's because I love sad songs. It's what I like. But I'm not going to sit here and I don't listen to a lot of sad music. I listen to a lot of bands that just have awesome riffs. Like I just love. I did go down a rabbit hole of the Doors. That's pretty. Some of those songs are really sad. I love Big Star. If you don't know who Big Star is, they wrote that's the song that's used in the That 70s Show theme song, Hanging Out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's Alex Chilton. He's the singer of Big Star, and the Replacements wrote a song named Alex Chilton, which is one of the best Replacement songs. And that band is just amazing. And then for sad music, I really like anything Conor Oberst touches or Tim Kasher from Cursive. But I mostly listen to like heavy music. I listen to a lot of hip hop and I listen to a lot of heavy bands. American Nightmare, Suicide File. I love Between the Buried and Me, Converge. I just listen to a lot of stuff and I just go on random tangents of genres in music.
Well, you're not picky, which is good.
Yeah.
No, I'm not picky.
Do you like Every Time I Die?
Yes, but I didn't have a moment where I was like on the Every Time I Die train where I went down a rabbit hole of all their music. I loved Hot Damn.
Oh yeah.
I loved Hot Damn, and I love the album before that. But I got into it a little bit because Hot Damn was the new record when I heard Every Time I Die.
Damn. Okay.
When I was I think I was a sophomore in high school. His lyrics are incredible. He's one of the best to do it. Like in heavy music, I think he's one of the greatest like lyricists, period. But I just never had that. I think when you find a band you love and you go down that rabbit hole, it's right place, right time. And that never happened with me with that band.
Yeah. Keith Buckley was actually going to be an English teacher before doing that band. That was his initial plan. Pretty cool. So let's see here. I didn't realize it, but Transit had another singer before you joined the band, but he didn't appear on any of the recordings. What was your tryout like? Pat
Boston. His name's Pat Boston. Like, I don't know if his last name's not Boston, but that was his like nickname. Pat Boston. All I know about him is I met him once. Or a couple times. I shook his hand. He's a really, I just remember talking to him. He's a really nice, he was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I remember he was working at Home Depot at the time. He's like a manager of a Home Depot, which is really weird because he was so young to be a manager, which I was like, oh, hey, like, yeah, you have a serious job. Like, you don't want to do a band? Like, I respect that. But I remember, so what was the original question? Yeah, it was like, yeah, he was the original singer. There were actually, I believe there was a demo. So there's a band that he's singing on before Transit. But that's it. There's nothing Transit related with his voice on it.
So basically they were playing a show and they reached out to the audience. They're like, oh, we're looking for a new singer. And you were at the show, right? Is that how that worked?
Yes, I was supposed to study for a final freshman year at Wentworth, where I went to school in Boston. And I believe, I could be getting this wrong, but I believe they were playing a show with Polar Bear Club, or no, Crime and Stereo.
Oh, dude, what?
Transit was opening. I believe Transit was one of the opening bands, and I believe Crime and Stereo was one of the like the headliner. I mixed some of these stories up, so I apologize. It may have been Polar Bear Club, but I'm pretty sure it was Crime and Stereo. Yeah, it was Crime and Stereo. Sorry, my phone's
I'll never get over Polar Bear Club going away.
Yeah, dude,
I love them.
That band's unbelievable.
So good.
So anyway, supposed to study, then I didn't. Went to this show, went to a lot of shows at that time at the Stone and White Church, and I heard Transit instrumental songs on MySpace because we finally had a band. We didn't have any real. I don't think we had McLean and like maybe one other band that had any kind of influence from Lifetime or Old Saves the Day, Can't Slow Down.
Yeah.
So when we had one, I think a lot of our friends were like, yo, like, great. Like this, like, wow, okay, awesome. Like someone's gonna try this. They're gonna do it. We're gonna get a North Shore, Massachusetts Lifetime kind of band.
Oh, sick.
Which is like, yeah. So I already knew about Transit before they had a singer, and then they put songs instrumentally and you could listen to them on MySpace. MySpace was a thing. And
Yeah.
I went to the show, and then over the mic, they had two singers, our friend Jesse Dampolo and another friend that was in a pop punk band. And I know his name, I'm just blanking right now because I'm just thinking too fast. But they had two singers, just basically one was singing like I'm falling down again, and then the other guy and Jesse would scream I'm falling down again, and that was like the whole song was just like that one line. And they were just improvising, being like having words in songs. They weren't written songs.
Yeah.
And they said over the microphone, if anyone wants to try out for the band, we're gonna like hold auditions, or we're gonna like, we're gonna have people try out, so just let us know, talk to us after the set.
Yeah.
So I said to my friend Carl, I go, I might want to do that. I mean, I love Saves the Day. I love Lifetime. Like that'd be really cool. And he goes, okay, you should. And I was like, well, I didn't have a car. And he was like, I'll drive you. Like, and he did. He's been my longest friend. I've been friends with Carl since 6th grade. So I probably wouldn't have sang in Transit if it wasn't for him. And yeah, I even let him write words on a song because he was a lyricist of our hardcore band. We had a hardcore band called Breaking Waves, which is like a melodic hardcore band, kind of like trying to sound like Bane, I guess, like Bane Give Blood.
That was the one you were the guitarist for?
I was a guitarist and background vocals. And he writes, he just like, he writes, and he just loves music. He's like, he knows every band that comes out still to this day, like just like an encyclopedia of music. So yeah, he's basically like a brother to me now. He's not really a friend or a best friend. He's basically my brother. I consider him my brother. But yeah, he dropped me off to like audition, and they liked me. And it was a song that never got recorded. It was one of the songs off their MySpace. So they wanted you to like write to those songs and then show them what you had. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I had GarageBand because I had a MacBook. I had GarageBand and I recorded that. And I think the earliest song, so the oldest song recorded is Castaway. Okay. And besides that, it's the intro on Keep This to Yourself. Living Diaries intro is the ending of a demo. The lyrics and melody are from a demo from the first Transit demo before our EP Let It Out. So the intro of a song on Keep It to Yourself is the earliest Transit thing, and then the song Castaway on Let It Out is that was at the very, very beginning, like when I was trying out for the band. That's from that batch of songs.
Damn.
Yep.
So how scary was that first performance as a singer?
We played at a nude art museum, so it's just paintings and sculptures of just naked people, just boobs and dicks and asses, like just everywhere. And we played with this band called the Young Leaves, which is an amazing band. They're on Spotify. They've been around a long time. They're just a great local band. Played with them. So we played our first show with a really cool band. And I remember it was in the middle of winter, and it may have been snow on the ground. And I remember I sang on the floor, and there was probably about 20 or 30 kids, maximum 40 kids. It was not like a crazy show, but it was in this little art gallery. I believe it was in Tewksbury. I don't remember exactly. I think it was in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And there was this giant speaker on the floor, just this big awkward box. Like if you took like a hope chest and turned it like vertical, like just this big awkward box, and that was the PA for me to sing out of. Mm-hmm. And I just remember like turning my back to the crowd and just being so fucking nervous. I literally felt like I was gonna throw up. The most quiet person. If I were to just go on a stage now after not doing Transit for so long or being in front of an audience, I'd probably feel that way. That would be easier. But I would probably feel that way. I'd probably feel nervous like I was when I started, because you got to like build up what you're
The
doing.
momentum, yeah.
But yeah, and then I remember the band that headlined wasn't the Young Leaves. It was a band that we just had a feeling we weren't going to like them, so we left. And I remember like one of them jumped on our van to be like, "Don't leave," and we're like, "We're out of here. Like, we just leave the show."
Yeah.
And we would just get off the route, like get off the
Yeah.
front of the car, or whatever, like fuck off, like we don't care. We were assholes. And then we left. That was the first transit show.
That's amazing. So did you have any specific inspirations when you started writing with Transit?
Transit, my earliest inspirations were we had a little bit of a Taking Back Sunday because we did the double vocal back and forth. I had lyrically had a lot of inspiration from Get Up Kids, Mineral, American Football, Lifetime. Lifetime was the first influence. So Let It Out, on the first EP, Let It Out, I probably listened to Lifetime the most. And then on This Will Not Define Us, which is our first full length, I was listening to a lot of Mineral and Gloria Record, any like Midwestern emo, old Get Up Kids, old Saves the Day. Further Seems Forever was a big influence on me. The Moon Is Down. Chris Caraba from Dashboard Confessional, that's his band before Dashboard, if you don't know, really inspired me. And then Stay Home was Modest Mouse, a lot of influence from Modest Mouse, Silent Majority, Seaweed. I believe that was around the time we started playing shows more with Title Fight, and playing shows with a band you really like, or like you feel like, yeah, like fuck yeah, I like what you're doing, and they're like, yeah, I like what you're doing. Yeah. That influences you too. So bands like Tiger's Jaw and Title Fight influenced us because we were like playing some shows, or just even before. I remember listening to Title Fight before playing a show with them, and liking what I heard. So I feel like they influenced us, even though it feels weird because they're not older than us, but being around bands that you like as people and like as music and the band The Agent from Long Island and Crime and Stereo and Polar Bear Club. So all bands we played with, but they definitely influence you too. Doesn't have to be just bands that you like look up to just as a fan,
Yeah, absolutely.
But and then Keep It to Yourself came, and it was just metal. I was listening to a lot of Pig Destroyer, Converge. I just kind of went on a complete tangent. The vocals aren't as clean on that record. I'm kind of yelp singing. So it's more about just emotion and being extra angry, and listening to a lot of like hardcore bands during that time period.
Yeah.
As a singer, like, how did you find your voice? Because I know, like, as a singer myself, it's all about like trying to find your sound, and like, because like the one big rule is don't try to sound like another singer. Try to find your own sound. So, in your case, how did you find your sound?
I don't think about it. I didn't really think about it even that in depth. I would just write the lyrics. I would really just focus on how are the words being delivered, and I wouldn't really think enough about how my voice was. It wasn't until Listen and Forgive, or the EP before that, that I started thinking of my voice more sonically like an instrument, which is really late in the game. I feel it was more about emotion the whole time than it was about how it sounds sonically. And then being at where we recorded Listen and Forgive, we would have a lot of gearheads coming in and out of the studio. So people that are just obsessed with drums, just obsessed with amps, just obsessed with guitars. And then it was like more of a laboratory experience. And then we started really getting into different microphones that worked with my voice, and different booths. And we would put different things around where the mic was on purpose to change the way it sounded, or like taping a pencil in front of a mic. Like we just experiment with things, and a lot more than we even needed to, honestly. And then I started thinking more about that, but I don't know. I still don't think about it that much now. All I do is I sit down and I go, this is what I get. So like with stuff I'm working on right now called Narrowcast, Matt will send me a song, and it won't be finished. It will just be like an idea. And he'll send me this like riff or whatever, like just a random riff. It can be any kind of genre. And then I'll listen to this loop or whatever, this riff or this creation that he's made. And I'll just listen to it, and I'll just sit there with it. And I'll go through all the lyrics I've written, and I'll just kind of freestyle write to it. I won't really think about what I want it to sound like. I won't really think about a genre. I'll just listen to it and just say, what can I add to enhance the song? And I'll either write the whole song from front to back in one sitting, which I think is the strongest way to write music, is one sitting. Write the whole song, listen to it, tell yourself, does this suck, or do I like it, or does it have potential? And if it sucks, completely throw it away.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't have enough potential, completely throw it away and then go and then write it in one sitting again. But only write when you're inspired to write, and never write because you feel like you just should, is what I've learned now. Yeah. And then sometimes I'll be like, yo, this song is really long. I'm only going to write to this 20 seconds. I'm just going to figure out this 20 seconds and I'll just write to that. And then I'll go to the bridge and I'll just write to the bridge, and I'll put the bridge on loop in, in whatever recording, program I'm using. A lot of transit, for demos, I used GarageBand a lot. For, I think most of transit, I use GarageBand to demo everything, but now I'm using Logic and like kind of like a somewhat of a setup, and it's more controlled. So, but yeah, that's how I do it. It's very random. You just go, here's a thing. I'm going to make something. I'm making it for me. So we definitely met some bands that were like making a brand or making like music for fans. Like, and I never truly felt that's what we were trying to do. I just wanted to make something that I haven't heard for me to sit down and listen to. And for, it's a very selfish way to look at music, but everything that I contributed to all the songs that I've worked on, and I'm still like that today, is literally just for me. It's like, here's a song, here's me, I'm going to add something to it. So it didn't exist and now it exists, and I listen to it. And just like songs I love, I listen to it. If I listen to it too much, it's like gum that loses its flavor and I don't really care about the song anymore. Yeah. And then it could be someone's favorite song. You know what I mean? Even though, so that's kind of what I do. I don't really think about it any more than making stuff. My mom made a ton of arts and crafts. I definitely get a creativity from my mom. But she used to just like make Christmas ornaments or make, wreaths or make, cakes. She's a cake decorator. She still does. And she would just do it. I'm like, why do you do it? She's like, it makes me happy. And I think that's why I think I have that part of me from wherever that comes from in my family. It's just, I just like to make stuff. Making stuff makes me happy, and it fills like any kind of void. I think if you don't make stuff and you're a person who's supposed to be making things during their downtime, if you're not, it can lead to like serious depression. So you should be,
Yeah, you always got to stay motivated and busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why you guys do your podcast. This is you making stuff.
Yeah, it's actually, it's funny because I started it like right when the virus took off. I knew we were going to be screwed for a while, so I went to Guitar Center and I financed all this equipment, and I'm actually just paying it off. Like literally, like this month I have the last payment. It's done. So
and then the first guest we got was a buddy of mine actually who directed one of the Friday the 13th films, and Kellen was just like, "Wait, who can we get on this? Do you know anybody?" I'm like, I got the perfect guy to be the first guest.
Dude, I want to meet people. It was just like that. You're in a cool fucking place in the world, man. That's awesome. That's crazy.
It's cool. Amazing. Kellen and I have managed to have many incredible adventures out here, even during the pandemic. We've gotten to like meet so many great people. We've gotten to work with some great people. And, it's been such a great journey that we've had. And, so I'd say kind of like what Kellen said, that the podcast is kind of what saved our asses in a way.
Yeah, that's what music did for me. It definitely 100%. I wouldn't be the way I am talking to you now. My personality and my love for life wouldn't exist. Maybe it would, but I don't think, I think that I found who I am and the way I am now and how I am with my friends and just anything in life and coworkers and stuff like that I don't think would be the same without transit existing. And and being able to express myself in the amount of songs. I don't know how many songs I've been a part of, but I definitely think it's maybe it's about 80, maybe it's almost 100. I don't know, but I know it's a good amount. And definitely. To have been able to express myself and how I was feeling that
Yeah.
many times over and over and over, you really get to learn who you are. So I'm really, I love the shows. I love talking to people, but the biggest takeaway I had from transit was making stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
making stuff, not even recording the songs, just writing songs.
Yeah, just
And
structuring it and yeah.
yeah, that was my, and I loved everything else about it, but that was my biggest takeaway. It wasn't about being a front man or going to
Yeah.
this other state or going to this other country. Those were all like bonuses,
Yeah.
but it was really about, I would just sit, dude, we were on Warped Tour. I remember everyone's like going out and partying, and I did party, everyone partied, but like,
Yeah.
I remember like being glued to my laptop. I was always, and it's always a MacBook. You know,
Yeah.
I grew up being like obsessed with PC, and I've had MacBooks because of transit and GarageBand and all that. But
Yeah.
I've been glued to a MacBook writing songs with Google Document, like Google Docs, since transit started and still to this day. And that's where my playground is. It's in Words on Google Docs. So I have Google to thank for a lot of stuff, Apple to thank for a lot of stuff,
Hell yeah.
for sure.
So, what was it like having Promise Nothing released for Record Store Day?
Awesome. Yeah. Promise Nothing was, I think, where we really started finding our sound. It was like, right. That was a dark, definitely some dark songs on that. I think it was what, two
Yeah.
songs. And yeah, that was just fun. I remember being really excited about those songs. I know that we kind of remixed one and re-released it, kind of changed it around.
Yeah.
But Danny Brenton took the photo outside from inside his house going outside in winter.
Oh wow.
I wish I had more of a memory of that, of those songs. We recorded those songs during a pretty hectic time of the band. So there
Yeah.
was more stuff going on internally with
Mhm.
members and stuff like that, that I feel like it took away a lot of my more beautiful memories of
Mhm.
those songs. So I could tell you a million stories, like a bunch of stories about Young New England and Joyride,
Yeah.
Listen and Forgive, Keep It Yourself. Almost got kicked out of college because of Keep It Yourself.
Hell
Jesse
yeah.
Cannon literally wrote pages and page long emails to my professor to stop him from kicking me out of class.
Wow.
Basically being like, you're an art teacher. This is an art major. And he's doing the most art he can do.
Yeah.
Like,
What
you know
the
what I
hell?
mean? He literally stopped me from getting kicked out of school. He's such an amazing person.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I get a lot of stories. I don't have a lot of stories about that record,
I was just
unfortunately.
I was just curious. Do you think that helped add to the fan base and help get the music out there at the time when it was released for Record Store Day?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I think if anything, the biggest things that helped our fan base grow, I think, were Stay Home
Oh yeah.
and Listen and Forgive were the two big, like, we put it out and then things changed. We put out Stay Home, and then we started playing shows to like a couple hundred kids at venues and people climbing on each other
Yeah.
and more getting hit. So when you sing, you're getting hit with the mic. Someone's
Oh
hitting the
yeah.
back of the mic by accident. It's flying into your teeth. So I
Oh,
have a lot of bloody teeth. And so we basically, I felt like we were a hardcore band when we put out Stay Home. And then
yeah.
Listen and Forgive was a big one. Keep It to Yourself did pretty good. I think that got I don't know. My favorite record of Transit is Joyride because it was the last thing we put out, and that's how it's always going to be. The
It's
newest stuff you
such
put
a
out is always
good
gonna be your
album to
favorite.
go out on too.
But Stay Home, if you're talking about like older songs, the most proud I am of Transit is a few songs off of This Will Not Define Us, like
Yeah.
For the World and Radio Flyer and Empty Shell. And then I'm really proud of Stay Home. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that with different chapters. We did what I feel like we try to do what Piebald did, and what Saves the Day did. It's like we're just gonna write records, and if it's a pop punk record, or if you want to call it that, or call it a hardcore record, or call it an indie record, which is, I feel like, more like Joyride is more of an indie record. Call it whatever you want. We don't care. We're just gonna make stuff. If a record label is gonna pay for us to record, we're just
Mhm.
gonna put out what we want to put out. And it's not gonna matter if it's for the what people expect of our band, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that hurt us sometimes and it really helped us sometimes. And I'm just glad that now that Transit's like broken up, every record that we put out, I know that we put out what we wanted to at the time it came out, and we were the most honest about what we were putting out. And that's how it felt. It didn't feel like a fan service. Like The Mandalorian is, I'm not comparing anything we do to the level of, let's just get that squared away. The Mandalorian is not a fan service. It is someone giving their life and saying, I don't give a fuck. But so is The Last Jedi, and some people hate that movie. I do not like The Last Jedi, but he at least put out what he was going to put out, and he didn't care what people thought. You know what I mean? So we were kind of in that vein. We're very stubborn with what Transit was.
Sometimes you got to be a little stubborn to get by.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you guys do an acoustic performance at Record Theater in Buffalo, New York. It's one record store we used to have. It's closed now. But I think my friend's band opened for you guys, and I mentioned this to you. They named their band Head North after the song. Please Head North.
I met one of them or a few. So we played in New York. We played at like a festival, like not a festival, but it was like bands upstairs. There's like 3 rooms of bands. And that's where I believe I met them. But again, my memory is terrible.
That's all right.
To certain degrees. It was terrible when we toured because you're never sleeping.
Yeah.
You're always eating garbage. You're exhausting yourself, moving equipment, just not sleeping in a van, dude. I have anxiety. Like I have pretty bad anxiety. And you don't even know how many times I woke up thinking like, we're going to die. We're going to get in an accident. We're going to careen off a cliff or hit black ice. We've hit black ice a bunch. So I never slept when we toured.
Yeah.
And my memory, I think from not sleeping and being so fatigued, I don't have a good memory of certain shows, specific shows, meeting certain people. I've reintroduced myself to the same people so many times, and I know it's pissed people off, but it was never like a rock star mentality. It was always just because I was exhausted and sleep deprived.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. They're like, oh, remember me? And you're just like, no.
It sucks because I feel like I'm a people pleaser, and I really love people, and I hate to be rude or be mean or come off like a jackass, but you can't help but do that.
I mean, honestly, we've all been in that position, though.
Yeah.
Everyone's been in that position where somebody walks up and you're like, yeah, I don't remember you.
I do remember meeting them in New York City, though.
Yeah.
No, I remember who I met. If you had a lineup of all their faces, I'd be like, that guy, like I would know.
Brent the singer is the one that I knew mainly because we went to school together, like middle school and high school. And I mean, when that band started, he used to like design the flyers like in the library and stuff, and I'd be in there be like, oh shit, new tour coming up. Hell yeah. So yeah, it was cool. Cool. So your third full length, Listen and Forgive, seemed to really bring Transit to the forefront and get the audience it finally deserved. I know you had a great experience in the recording process. What made it work so well?
So I'll tell you something about Listen and Forgive. Going into Listen and Forgive, coming from a heavier record, like Keep It to Yourself, I was almost not on board for recording that record.
Really?
Yeah. We wrote an entire album's worth of Keep It to Yourself Part 2. And then we scrapped it. So Tim wasn't really happy with what he wrote on guitar. And the demos, he didn't feel like he wanted to go to a next level and like progress the band. And he wrote more songs and I wrote 2 of those songs, and he just didn't feel like they were where we needed to be and the next step or evolution of what Transit was going to be. And I remember just hearing like these newer demos come from him, and they were more like, they were softer sounding.
Yeah.
And I was still very like angsty or angry or whatever I was going through, probably with school, because it was so difficult to manage a college major, stay in college, pass sophomore review, which is basically if you don't pass sophomore review, you have to repeat everything.
Yeah.
Pay for it all again. Borrow more money to do it. So I was panicked, and I wrote a lot of songs about Transit ending, even on the first full length, because I never really thought I could stay in Transit while I was going to school, because it's such a gamble taking out student loans and paying them off, trying to pay them off. So I was writing about Transit ending from the first full length, This Will Not Define Us, radio flyer. So I really was going to be done with Transit before Listen and Forgive. I had a phone call with Tim, and whatever words he conjured up to convince me to stay, I stayed. And
Yeah.
then I gave Listen and Forgive everything I had.
Mm-hmm.
And the album was way more repetitive than I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be like part, done. Maybe a chorus twice. Then it
Yeah.
became more of like A, B, C, D. Like it still had not a, a generic structure, but it was definitely less of what Keeps Yourself was.
Yeah.
So I almost left. But then when we did I remember the Promise Nothing songs gave me a lot of hope for where Transit was going.
Mm-hmm.
So that kept me on board. And as long as the songs could be sad, I was on board. And it's not just sad to do sad. It was because I feel like sad songs are honest songs.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that's why I still do like, more depressing songs to this day.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, what the original question was, what was the original question? Sorry. I got so many memories about Listen and Forgive. I have so many memories about it. So
it was just about the recording process and what made it work so well, like with everybody.
we had people come in. We had people come in that were just like from Massachusetts that were gearheads. That were the guys on message boards telling you what gear to buy or where to go. Like our friend Adam, the best pair of headphones I've ever worn in my life were Sennheisers that he showed me. So we had a lot of like people come in that were friends with the studio. That would add their 2 cents, you know what I mean? And help us like say, why don't you try this or why don't you try this? But it was Transit writing the songs and creating everything. We just had more of a library to expand and more layers to guitars. It was a very guitar focused record. I think that's probably our most guitar forward record. And yeah, man, it was fun. Modest Mouse has been the longest influence for me as a part of Transit. So Modest Mouse and Broken Social Scene have been the two most inspiring, and Death Cab and Tegan and Sarah have been like a big inspirations for the later Transit stuff from Promise Nothing forward. So I would just listen to a bunch of music that I liked and just like be like, I'm not leaving this room until the song is done, or you know what I mean? So I would definitely go back and change some stuff with that record, and with even Joyride, I would go back because I never feel like I figured out songwriting. So it's always just kind of like, like a song I'm working on now, it's in front of me.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I go, okay, I really like this part. I like this part. Cool. And then I'll highlight one line and I'll make it orange or red, and I'll be like, this is filler. This one line is filler.
Yeah.
And I need to make it up to par with the rest of the song.
That's smart. That's
Or this is an ooh when this is an ooh, and this should be a word instead in the chorus. It should be an ooh or a whoa sound. So I'll like zoom in to those little individual parts that I feel like are filler, me being lazy. And then I'll just focus on that, and then I'll fix it. And then sometimes I'll think a song's done, and then like day before we go to record it, I'll write a whole new part 2. Like I'll make an alternative verse 2, and then I'll end up keeping that, and that's what will make the record. With the new stuff I'm working on now, I literally followed a cat around the room and recorded vocals, and that became the take that we're keeping for this song. There's a black cat, so I recorded in North Carolina, High Point, North Carolina, with Gage Owens, who's unbelievable. He's one of the best people I've ever recorded with. I think he's my favorite person I've ever recorded with. And we sang through a piano, this old dusty piano. We put mics on the back of it, and we opened it up, and I sang through the keys, so my voice is hitting all the strings. And we're doing a lot of like weird stuff. It's definitely more of an indie sound, of course, if we're doing that kind of stuff, following cats around and doing weird shit. But it's just to have fun. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm so excited and proud of the stuff that I'm putting out that's getting mixed and mastered right now. And there's definitely a few songs that I think Transit fans would really like. I think there's at least like 2 or 3 that I think Transit fans are going to cling on to. But the first ones we're putting out are just the songs we feel are the coolest and we're the most proud of first. So that's what we're going to do.
When do you think that'll be coming out?
I'm waiting. I'm checking my email every day. Hopefully very soon. I can't see it taking more than a few weeks for me to get the files that I need.
Yeah.
And from there, we have pretty much all the artwork done. I have to proofread all the lyrics if we're putting it online.
Yeah.
But we're gonna put it out digitally first, and then hopefully do vinyl. This is my first time doing anything without a label since Transit's very first EP, Let It Out. So this is the first thing where I own everything, and I've paid for recording everything. And I don't know, man. Everything we're doing now, it's more about just following a vibe and less of like, I feel like Listen and Forgive it was following a vibe 100%.
Yeah.
And I feel like Joyride's awesome. It's really fun, but it was more about writing what was fun. And it wasn't about being weird and following a vibe of a song and the spine of a song and what's the song telling you? Like, without words, what is the song trying to convey emotionally? And focus in on that and keep that and retain that the whole time throughout the whole process is what I'm doing now with these songs. So I'm just very excited. I don't even care if only 10 people hear it or couple thousand. I know that I'm putting my very best foot forward, and these will be some of my favorite songs I've ever been a part of easily. So
I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, called Narrowcast. The project's called Narrowcast.
Narrowcast. Okay.
And then the EP. Oh, well, I can't say. I'm not going to tell any of the names of anything. I guess yet. It's not finalized yet, but
yeah,
we got everything's done. We're just waiting for mix and masters of 2 songs, and then we have a cover song done, and then we have another cover song done, except it's like 20% more, and we're going to have one of our friends do like a guest vocal on it that we're waiting on. But that's where I'm at right now.
Hell yeah. Got any pig squeals on that?
No pig squeals, no gutter rolls. No. But you'll laugh when you say that. When you say that, I'm not gonna tell you why, but because you said that,
yeah.
With one of the tracks, I don't want to spoil anything. You saying that actually is funnier than you think it is what I'll say. And I will promise you there are no gutturals or any screams on any of these songs. But what you said is pretty funny, and you'll see why for at least one of the tracks that's recorded, not so much written.
Oh, I'm stoked. I can already tell.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
So go ahead.
No, you go.
All right. So when do we have an expected release date?
We're literally waiting on 2
mix and
masters. And once we get those back, I don't see any reason why not to get it online as soon as possible, because it's been so long for me. I'm like dying over here to put something out. And I want to put it out as soon as possible. We were hoping to have it out. We recorded the first 3 songs, and we wanted it to come out Halloween of last year. Yeah. And then we started working on a newer song, and I literally wrote a song that had a reference to a car accident. And the day that I started working on it, I literally got in a car accident.
No.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Oh, a guy cut me off. So I was driving, and the car. So I'm driving. Let me see if I can do this. So I'm driving, and this car just comes out of nowhere, like gives me like half a second, and I have to swerve.
Oh, no.
Fly 180, and the back of my car smashes into the front of another car.
Oh my God.
And the car that caused it drove away. So I went to the hospital in like a stretcher, but I was fine. But my back still, it'll never be the same. But I didn't get anything broken. Nothing severe happened. But fucked my back up. Like I was all jacked up for a while.
It's still the whiplash will do enough effect of it.
Yeah. So I wrote a song that had reference to jumping a guardrail in a car. I didn't jump a guardrail, but the same day that I'm working on this fucking song, so I literally jinxed myself with a song, and then finished the song while at home in bed, and then I kind of feel like it was my fault for starting to write about that subject matter and then getting in an accident. And then the second song I wrote in one sitting. The very first song we're going to put out, I wrote in one sitting. I wrote in the dark. I literally got my laptop, complete darkness, and just wrote the song front to back. And then after that, I worked on the end rhymes and the little nuances of words I'd pick by walking around my building or walking around the neighborhood I was in, which had just headphones and just looking at Google Docs on my phone.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I almost overworked what I was going to put into it, but then I was really happy with the overall end product. So it's just a lot of detail work that I've get to have the time to do now that I didn't with Transit, because we literally try to put like an album out every year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited for it.
Do you think growing up going to basement and VFW shows is the main reason for you wanting to be in a band, or did that desire come elsewhere?
No, the Beatles. The Beatles' Sgt. Pepper is where
Damn.
everything started for me. Eleanor Rigby was the song that made me want to be a part of music.
Wow.
And then from there, I went from the Beatles to, a bunch of classic rock bands. And then I went into the worst, like Korn and Limp Bizkit.
Yes.
The new metal.
Like the worst, like it's trash. And that's because of influence of middle school. And then 8th grade, I started getting back into, I started going to shows probably 7th grade, 8th grade.
Oh yeah.
And then I got into local punk bands and bands from like Gloucester and Salem, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Bands like, I can name a few, like Boxing Water. Local shows I saw from local bands. So there'd be local bands, and then there would be bands from the surrounding towns. And then there would be bands that toured from like Long Island, New Jersey, Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, like would come through and also play shows that were in the local scene. The shows that I went to the most were in Massachusetts, were in Salem, Massachusetts, at a VFW called the Salem Elks, and then Sputniks, which is on the wharf in Salem. So Salem was the biggest part of local bands and touring bands and music for me.
Wow.
And so we had like ska bands, metal bands, bands that were kind of like American football, but not enough, not enough of that. Pop punk bands. So Jay Maz from Defeater had a pop punk band called Kobe Ty, and then we had a band called Our New Year, which I named a song after, on Keep It to Yourself. That was like, and you can find them online. I think they're on Spotify and they're on YouTube, but they sounded like American football mixed with Small Brown Bike. They were like, I think ahead of their time almost, like mixing different like emo bands and stuff like that. Yeah, but they were just amazing. They kind of had a little influence from the Who in there, which was really cool. And then a lot of heavy bands. I saw Bane before Give Blood came out.
Do you see that documentary they did on Bane?
No.
Oh man, that came out a couple months ago, dude. It's so good. I think you can get it on Prime.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta check that out.
I'll send you that.
But yeah, I saw. I almost saw Brand New play a VFW. I missed that.
Shit.
That would have been crazy.
Shit.
Yeah. This was like right after Your Favorite Weapon. So I almost saw them. I saw bands that were on compilations with Coheed and Cambria, but I never got to see them when they were small. I saw who else? So it's basically like ska bands, punk bands. Boxing Water was a big one for me. I really like that band. And then I don't know if they're good anymore. There's like certain bands where I go back and I'm like, I don't really know. But yeah, we had some awesome local bands. We had Nola's Recovery. So the local band that had the most influence on Transit was probably Nola's Recovery. And they were a band before that called Full Fit. Okay. And they were just like American football mixed with like pop punk kind of local band. They didn't sound like us. I would say that like some of the guitar work influenced Tim and Joe Lacey when Transit first started.
Yeah.
And I think they were just a really good fucking local band that Transit needed to hear to come up with where they wanted to go. So that was important. And then we had McLean, which was like our version of Lifetime. So we had like one Lifetime sounding band. But yeah, it's just so many. We were so lucky to have so many genres of local bands.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was all over the place. Yeah.
I know you were a big fan of the benefits that Warped Tour had to offer. What were your favorite aspects about that festival, and why do you think it was so beneficial to bands trying to find their audience and vice versa?
You meet the audience. I would stay near the merch table. It definitely helped us sell more T-shirts so we could put gas in the tank. And I got to meet a lot of fans and well, a lot of supporters and meet people, like really meet who listened to Transit and who they were.
Yeah.
And I literally every day of Warped Tour, I'd probably just recommend bands.
Yeah.
I'm a lot like my friend Carl, who's like been my friend for the longest, but I just like showing people stuff. Like, have you checked out this? Have you listened to this? Have you saw that? Have you seen this movie? So I'd go on people's phones and just make a list of my favorite like hardcore bands, mostly heavy bands. I would just give to people. Yeah, I showed so many people the Suicide File across this whole country. I think they're the coolest. I think they're the greatest. I think they're the greatest hardcore band. Period. Is the fuck you hardcore, that genre of hardcore. Suicide File, I think, is the greatest of all time. If you like Blacklisted and American Nightmare and Hope Conspiracy,
Oh hell yeah.
Ceremony, I think that you like, or Dangers. If you like those bands, then you have to listen to the Suicide File.
Dude, Dangers is crazy. I love Dangers.
Dangers is amazing.
Live too. Live, he's nuts.
Have you listened to Cursed? They broke up. They got robbed on a tour in Europe, but they put out 3 records. One's called 1, 2, and then the other one's 3, and it's got like words in the actual title. I just love bands that do that. They don't like name things. They just like a Roman numeral. That's what our New Year, that local band did. Every song was a number. It was 1, 2, 3. It was 1 through 13, and then they broke up. Every song was just a number.
Like Weezer with the colored albums.
Yeah, it's just like we're not even name the songs. Fuck you.
The music's amazing. Just we don't need to worry about the album title.
But yeah, I just like, and I showed a lot of people Between the Buried and Me that didn't know about them, like just fans and stuff of Transit. I would just like look for, or the Weaker Thans. I've talked a lot about the Weaker Thans. And Oscar, the band Oscar. This band called the Kid Crash. They had an album called New Ruins that my band was obsessed with at one point. And Rilo Kiley. So I just share. I think the best takeaway I got from Warped Tour was sharing bands with fans that would probably only listen to bands on Warped Tour. So I shared a lot of indie bands and a lot of hardcore bands and a lot of like, I guess some underground hip hop like Jedi Mind Tricks or Aesop Rock or Brother Ali. With people that love music. So just sharing music, it always just comes full circle. Best thing about Warped Tour is sharing music.
And I know you did those TEI workshops, right? Where you worked with fans. How did you like that?
Those I didn't do too much of that. I did a little bit, and that was fun. It was just like I just sit down with someone's song and work on them with them. Oh, another big takeaway from Warped Tour was I would skateboard all the fucking time. I lived on my skateboard. Dude, I've been skateboarding since probably like 13 or 14 because of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1. Was obsessed with Rodney Mullen, Mike Vallely, Daewon Song. So yeah, skateboarding on Warped Tour in parking lots was fucking awesome.
That's amazing.
And what else? I had one other thing. And then because Warped Tour is ridiculous, so you kind of just like get away with stupid antics on stage. And one of the first times I met I think it was one of the first times I met Adam from Taking Back Sunday. He was like, I saw you guys play. It sounds awesome. He goes, you should do something crazy, like do something like, you know what I mean? Like that's what Warped Tour is about. So I was like going to climb the Arnie Ball truck.
Oh my God.
Because Adam told me it was like to go crazy and do something. So I was like sticking all these fucking microphone cables together so I could get them loud enough. And the sound guy comes over to me and he goes, "What are you doing?" Nothing.
You're like,
you're gonna climb. You're gonna climb this truck. And I go, no. He goes, if you climb this truck, you're going home. You're immediately off. You're gone. So I was like, fuck. So I couldn't climb the truck. I'm glad I didn't, honestly. I probably would have died.
Was that Kenny Leaf?
I don't know.
Damn.
No, that guy was cool. I remember one guy, like, I think I called him the Wizard or some guy with long hair that's worked on like big events. That guy was nothing but cool. I don't know. I don't remember who the guy was. Just a regular guy. And
That's funny.
so instead of that, I remember getting a boogie board and then putting it onto the crowd and then standing on the boogie board and trying to stay up there. And then at the end, like doing a front flip into the crowd. And then a band, I think was why do I want to say it was Straight from the Path? I don't think that's the band. That was not the band.
No,
It's a band name that sounds like that I don't listen to, but it was a heavy band.
Stick to your guns. Stick to your guns.
Maybe. One band, I think the guy had long hair. I don't know. This band that I didn't really like, or didn't really know, or didn't like. I was just like, okay, people like your band, cool. Not the biggest band, but I just remember this heavier band stole my shit. They took my boogie board or whatever, and they use it during their set.
Oh,
and they wanted to be like, oh, this is fun. This is funny. Like, we were doing this, and I'm like, no. You stole my fucking boogie board. I don't know who it was. I wish I could know who the band was so I could talk shit, but I can't. But anyway, so then I would just take merch bin lids and just fucking use those and stand on those and flip off of those. So I have a lot of ridiculous pictures of me like halfway front flip through the air that are online and will randomly be put in like Warped Tour, blah, blah, blah. Or I'll randomly see them on things like once in a while on Instagram and stuff. So I'm proud of those. I got to tried to bring like my love for skateboarding into Warped Tour by like trying to balance on this board and do a trick of some kind.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely saw a picture of you on the boogie board. I think for sure. I remember there was a big picture. Did they share that on like the Vans Warped Tour like page even?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, but I always just try to find things that keep me entertained, and I think that was my way of being like playing 2 sets a day every day.
Yeah,
and it's a long tour. I got to make this more fun than I can make this. I got to make this as fun as I possibly fucking can. And I think that was a part of it.
No, we were
Adam was the reason I started doing it. Cause he kind of called me out cause he can do things. He's climbed things. He's a frontman's front man. Like he's like the real deal where I feel like I just like making songs and having fun. And I didn't really think of myself as like a front man. You know what I mean? So, and I love that band. I was listening to Taking Back Sunday in high school, like all the time. So it's really cool to do a podcast with John. It's really cool to be friends with them because their music has influenced me over the years. And I've been friends with Nathan, who also has a band, Adam's brother, for a long time. So he was at some of the first Transit shows in the Carolinas. And I've been friends with him for a long time, and it's just really, it's really beautiful. And it feels really good to have such amazing people in my life, I guess, that inspire me and that love music. Probably more than I do, definitely.
Do you have a favorite Taking Back Sunday record?
It's got to be Tell All Your Friends, because that's the one that got me into them. That was like the start, and it sounds the most like Lifetime, and I really love the Straight Light Run parts. Straight Light Run, I love what John does. I love his ability to write songs and what he contributes to music so much, and I love how much that shines in the first record, because you'll have like, it's like Taking Back Sunday part, and then it's like a Straight Light Run's part of a song, and it will, you know what I mean? Production wise, it's not my favorite. I think their self-titled might be the best. I think their self-titled might be the best thing they've ever done.
Really?
But for me, favorite would have to be that record because of the memories attached to it.
Yeah, I don't think I got into them until the Louder Nowadays, but I saw them. I saw them in 2007 with Linkin Park and My Chemical Romance, and that was nuts.
Wow. Yeah, the Louder Now has the best riffs. That's like the best, I think, the riffs of Taking Back Sunday. Those are all the big, heavy hitter riffs are.
Ridiculous. So your family is from Italy. When Transit got to play there, you described it as a life-changing moment. What did you love it about there?
I love these questions. Everyone looked like my cousins. It was so weird. Everyone looked like my cousin Nick, who I kind of look like. And so like some of my other cousins as well. But I just remember like being in this room and being like, this is so fucking weird. I was like, because I'm so used to like in the States, like everyone's from everywhere. And where I'm from, it's a lot of Italians and Irish and others from like European descents. And I just remember being there and being like, this is so strange. It's like I'm playing to my
Yeah.
family,
Oh,
but
no
it's
way.
not awkward. And people had signs and they had like the slug drawn on the signs, like little, like they were holding like pieces of paper instead
Yeah.
of like a sign. It was just like a 8.5 by 11. And we ate before the show. And that was a real, we had like a family and
Damn.
like, it was just surreal. I wish we played like more of the cities and stuff, but we played like 2 towns, played Italy twice, and they were both in like the suburbs.
Okay.
And the coolest aspect of Italy, one of the coolest aspects, takeaways was when my family moved to the United States, a lot of them were just masons. Like they would just work on rock walls. So a lot of like the rock walls around cemeteries, especially there was a cemetery right where I grew up down the street from me. I literally lived on a hill,
Yeah.
and that was just like overlooked like a cemetery.
Creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't creepy living there though. It was like the hill, the woods,
Yeah.
and cemetery. So you didn't really see it, but it was there.
Hell yeah.
And where was I going with this? Oh, so the same style of rock walls around the cemetery where you just get big rocks and cement, and you just stick it in there and you just put cement around it and you stick another rock on top of it, and it's not very pretty. Were all over the place in Italy. And I remember like almost tearing up being like, here it is. Like
That's
Italians built those walls, and then my ancestors came over, and that's all they probably knew how to do. And especially my uncle Mike, who's still well, he didn't come over, but he's like a first generation American
Yeah.
for my family, one of the first born here. So it was really cool to see that, Italians building these stone walls around the roads and stuff, and then
Yeah.
seeing that same type of design in my hometown and in the suburbs of Massachusetts. So that was cool.
So it came like all full circle for you then, pretty much.
Yeah, it was just cool to have that epiphany moment. And then yeah, I mean, like I have one of the coolest members of my whole family fought in World War II. He's one of the last World War II survivors.
Damn.
He's hilarious. He eats he eats one egg for breakfast, one piece of toast, and one glass of orange juice every day. He never smokes, he never drinks, and he eats vegetables from his own garden. And he is 100 years old.
Damn.
Wow.
Exactly 100?
Yeah, he's 100. And
That's
he told
amazing.
me the secret to living a long time. That was the secret. I was like, okay, well, I fail. I drink, I smoke. So I fail those two. So I'm never making it to 100. And I have 2 eggs for breakfast. And he goes,
I have
2
as well.
eggs? He goes like this. My Uncle Mike's like, 2 eggs? No, 1 egg. Because I'll like, one egg. Like, and I just remember telling me this, and I kept my composure, but I was dying inside. 2 eggs? No, nothing a lot worse than 2 eggs. I mean,
not scrambled.
Yeah, but he's a saint. He fought in World War II. He loves, like, dude. He's got stories that are unbelievable, and yeah, he's a pretty good influence on my life. But yeah, I've always had these like heroic, crazy, where the hell did you come from type of peoples that pop in and out of my life, and I always make a point to talk their ear off.
Yeah.
That's so important.
No, I heard people in Italy are super nice though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because people.
Yeah,
in
they're very
France-
nice.
I heard people in France are dicks, but Italy's cool. I heard.
Unless you play Millencolin, we didn't give a shit about our songs. Then we covered Millencolin, No Cigar, and it was like a wave. It was like a wave of people. Oh, what the fuck? She just played the song like 4 times. It was so funny. We played Le Club.
Le Club.
I saw a rat the size of a dog. I saw a rat that was this fucking big.
Oh,
my biggest regret going to Paris was not seeing the catacombs. I wish I got to see that.
That would have been sick.
Yeah.
Is that like the one from As Above, So Below? Yeah, the one horror movie.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen that movie.
Yeah, I think they filmed it there.
Yeah, but yeah, I wish I saw the catacombs and met the creepy ass people that are down there, just kind of making sure nothing wrong is going on. Like, that's your job, is to be a security guard of just a tunnel of death. for miles. Like, what the fuck?
Fuck, that's fucked up.
I want to meet that guy. Be like, that lady.
Right.
And be like,
You have a
story.
documentary on him.
How did you get here?
That's wild.
What are you reading right now? Like,
what even is your life?
yeah. I would want to meet those people, but not be in danger.
Yeah, right. So were there
That's
any
the best part of the tour.
were there any good food spots, like any notable eateries over there?
So
Must have been amazing.
playing shows, being overseas, I call it the land of missing condiments.
Yeah. Oh, really?
So every time you want like barbecue sauce or ranch or ketchup, it's never nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of fun eating food over there. I didn't have the money to go to places that would be incredible to eat.
Damn.
The best food I've had on the road has been in New Jersey, Long Island,
Buffalo.
Texas, California, Seattle, Washington. That's pretty much it. I liked some food up in Canada, like poutine and stuff, but
Yeah.
Midwest, I didn't have a lot. I don't remember having a lot of great food. Philly has incredible food.
Oh,
But yeah,
Philly's so good.
the best takeaway for food for me is Texas.
Oh yeah, barbecue. Come on.
Yeah, and Mexican food. God.
Brisket. Oh,
Yeah.
so fucking good.
Game over.
Game over.
Yep.
So okay. So I wanted to ask, we already talked about the fights a little bit. You got in around like 14 fights, I think you said in an interview.
Yeah, I got picked on and I stuck up for myself. I never really had a friend that stuck up for me.
Hell
I'd
yeah.
have one of my friends actually ran away. I wasn't in like brawls, like I was a kid getting in fights.
Did you win these
The
fights?
last brawl, yeah, and some ended up in a tie because I didn't think you should be able to kick. I told this kid, I was like, you can't kick me in this fight. We're gonna fight with our fists. You can't be kicking me.
That's
I remember he played soccer too, so he probably would have kicked my fucking ass if he kept kicking me. But no, there was, like when you watch a high school, like any kind of movie or show about, and I don't think it was 14. I think I was probably exaggerating. I think I've been in 11. 11 sounds right.
That's still a shitload.
And I'm not saying I'm a tough guy. I'm just saying I got picked on. Someone was kid. Last name was McCabe. It was Jeff McCabe or something.
Oh, dude.
I remember the names. I remember the names of some of the people, and like he literally didn't like my backpack, and he grabbed my backpack and pulled it because I had a big skateboarding backpack.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I was like, you're an asshole. Like, I was like, fuck you. And his friends built it up to make him want to fight me. Like, now you have to fight this kid. And it's like a big group, like a big gang of kids. It's like,
dude, that's exactly what happened to me. So first of all, I had a friend named Craig McCabe. That's why we were laughing, because that's hilarious. And his sister actually moved out here to California. What's her name again? Angela McCabe.
Yeah, Angela McCabe.
Anyways, that was funny. But yeah, when I was in high school, I got in one fight in freshman year.
I remember this.
And everybody in my locker room in gym, like literally cornered me in this locker room and made me fight this fat kid that like I had no problems with, like for no reason at all. And then this kid, but he was into it though. He was like, yeah, fuck you, let's fight. He was like pushing me.
Yeah.
He was like a nerdy fat kid. And I'm just like, all right, I have no problem with you, but that's hilarious. And I don't remember what happened. He just kind of like started pushing me and like talking shit. And then I don't remember what happened. I just remember I swung, I succeeded, I hit him, and I think he missed. And then that was it. And then I started walking away, and he hit me in the back of the head with like his lock. Like he had his lock in his hand and like bashed me in the back of the head with it. And I hardly even
get arrested.
No, I don't think anybody really saw that. Like I think it was over at that point, and he kind of just did that. But the kicker here, the thing that really sucked, is one of my friends filmed it like an idiot. And, you know, I mean, it's on his phone. So technically it's his personal property. He didn't need to show anybody this footage, right? So he gets called down to the office, and they're basically like, oh, we know you were there and we know you filmed it. Show us the video. He could have just said no, right?
Yeah.
But this kid totally just shows them the video, and I got suspended basically and had to go. I was supposed to go to this place called Dexter, which is like a bad kids school for a week.
What?
And I'm like, it's called Dexter.
Move you to another school just for one fight? They're going to move you to another.
It was horseshit. But of course, me with my brilliant ideas, I'm like, fuck that. I just want to play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. So I had my mom sign this little form that was like, okay, he could stay home instead of going to Dexter. He can stay at home. And so that other kid got sent to Dexter and had to deal with that shit. And all the bad kids, I was at home playing video games, watching movies all week and eating my brains out. So,
Yeah.
No, like that's the thing
It
about
worked out.
fights. The thing about fights is, there's always going to be the peers that want to escalate it more.
Oh yeah.
And like, so this is so here's my high school fight story. Since now we're going into like
whoa. You got to tell them about the time you punched a teacher, though.
I'll get that. I'll go. That's a whole different story. But no, Kellen.
Ooh.
So this is that topic. So that topic, she grabbed me forcefully by the neck to where it hurt. And so like that's the thing, and I'm pretty sure this teacher got fired too. But
Yeah.
I acted out of defense and mostly anger, and I just boom.
Yeah.
And of
Wham.
course,
Fight or flight.
like, cause like she like dug her nail. Her nail was pretty much going into my skin on my neck, so that was enough to show. Like I'm like, cause like they tried to like say that I was the one that provoked it. I'm like, oh yeah, well look at this.
Yeah.
Look at
Here's
this
the
right
evidence.
here. She did this
Yeah.
to my neck. So that was enough. So that was enough to like say something.
Yeah.
But then like the other topic, Kellen remembers this actually, because this is when around the time we saw Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper.
Oh yeah.
So this is what happened. I'm on the bus on the way home. And I'm like, this is like 17-year-old me. This is like 11 years ago. And so this kid, like, he's just making death threat after death threat, saying, I'm gonna kill you and your whole family, yada yada yada, saying all this stuff to me. And like all the other kids are like, are you gonna let him get away with that? Like they were just saying, dude, you gotta do something. Like they're like saying, do it, do something, dude. You gotta do it. You gotta get up and stand up for yourself. Like they
We're
were
bored. We need you to entertain us. We're
Dude.
bored. We need you to entertain us.
Exactly.
Fight this kid.
So like what happened was I
love
get up.
bus
I'm like,
fights.
so like I get up and I'm just casually, he's like, so like I'm walking down the aisle about to get off. He's on my right. And I'm just casually walking off like I'm not gonna do anything. And this fist is already buckled up. And then I just turned and like unexpectedly just like swung the hardest punch I could at this kid. And his head goes flying back and it hits the bus window.
Oh my god.
And I just
Damn, dude.
casually walk off. And so like the next morning I go to school and everybody's saying, dude, we heard about it. Good job. And like that kid didn't even show up that day. He wasn't even there the next day. And then the next day after that, I see him and he has like the biggest bruise in between his eyes. Cause like
You just smashed him. Yeah.
because like my middle knuckle is like the big knuckle on my hand. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like what got him there. And then like he's just like looking down the whole time when he walks by me. And then like I get called to the principal's office later in that day. And like, so apparently based on what I heard, he ratted me out by saying my initials. And I was the only one that stuck out like a sore thumb on that bus.
Yeah, but your
for some
initials are
reason.
CM. There's got to be more people with CM, right?
No.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
it's just like he was afraid, so like I don't know what it was. It was like he kind of, in the end of the day, he's the one that pretty much threatened me. So it was, and so like I get told, so like I get called into the office. I'm sitting there waiting, and then I get brought in, and then they're like, did you punch a kid named Brian Lambert? Well, first they started off like, do you have something you want us to tell us about? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm just casual. I'm calm about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you referring to? And then they're like, did you punch Ryan Lambert in between the eyes? I'm like,
Who's that?
I kind of played dumb. Like I didn't
Ryan
know about what
Lambert.
was going on. Like I remember this kid's name. I can't believe I do. And so like I pretty much just admitted to it. I'm like, well, you know what? He threatened to put me and my family in harm's way. So I kind of felt threatened. So
And if you
I
give me
did
detention,
what I had to
you're
do.
next.
So they suspended me for like 3 days. And the funny thing was, Kellen already had tickets for us to
Yep.
see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. And get this, I still got to go.
Fuck
Hell
yeah.
So you got only 3 days. I got a week. I did nothing. I like hit the guy once.
I got 3 days just for like slugging the guy.
All our fights were after school. It was always like on the walk home
Oh,
or
man,
like
I
behind
watched a lot of those.
school. And some people were crazy. They're like, we're going to meet at school on Saturday and
Yeah.
we're going to fight then. And then somewhere in like the neighborhood, like me and this kid both crushed on the same girl and fought a few times. And then
That's amazing.
high school, no fights, not a single fight in high school. Everyone was
Really?
cool. Except there was one kid that was talking shit to me, and I was just like, nah, man, I don't want to dance. Like, I know you want
Yeah.
it. Like, he wasn't saying we got to fight, but you could tell there was tension between our conversation. Like,
Yeah.
it could eventually go down the road to, we're going to fight now. Like, I could see it maybe an hour, maybe like an hour or two or three. I could tell, like, hey, man, like, we're not going to get along. And this could become what those were, those like fights. So I remember just like kind of steering away from that. And then I didn't get in a fight until Brisbane, Australia. Um,
What?
last show of the tour. Last show of the tour. The bouncer started choking this kid out. I thought I'd find a video of this eventually. Someone did film it, but I never found a video. But last song we were playing like For the World, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And I think I had 2 beers, maybe 3. I wasn't drunk, but I remember like
You were buzzing.
just like I was buzzing, and we played the song, and we're at the very end of the song. And this is like I wrote the song about my grandmother. It's not like a heavy song, right? Like, you know what I mean? And it's a very meaningful family song, I guess. And this bouncer didn't like the kids were crowd surfing and needed to control the crowd.
Yeah.
So he grabbed this kid that must have been 16 years old, 17 years old,
God.
put him in a headlock and just started squeezing his neck. And I watched the blood rush out of this kid's face. His skin was so pale, he looked like a piece of like Xerox paper. He was white as a ghost. And his eyeballs looked really big, like they were bulging out of his head. And I just remember waking up in the middle of the punch. So I punched him in the same eye like 5 times. I just went like boom, 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 same eye right here, just smashing this guy. And the guy was way bigger than me because he's like he's a bouncer. He was bigger than me. He's a muscly guy that goes to the gym and shit. And I just remember just waking up. I don't remember making the choice to actually hit him.
Yeah.
I just thought I was seeing someone murdering someone in front of me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So did they
So
tear,
maybe
did they tear you guys apart, or did he hit you back? This guy.
I hit him, and then I hit him and hit him and hit him, and then I think PJ, my bassist, came over and pushed him into the crowd. And then the promoter was also, I'm pretty much sure the promoter was like an all-in-one sound guy, everything. So he was doing the sound engineering of the show. So he jumped off the soundboard, ran through the crowd, grabbed the guy, pulled the bouncer back. Everything got separated. Show was done.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
Show's done. It was the last song. No encore, no encore or anything. So I'm helping out, move out the merch bins and stuff. And I'm just kind of standing in the club, and the same guy comes right up to me. He goes, "Come with me outside." And I'm like, great, this is going to suck. This guy's going to beat the shit out of me.
So what happened?
So he brings me outside. We walk outside. He comes outside and he goes, "You know why we're outside?" And I go, "Yeah, we're outside because you were choking that kid to death." And he goes, "You assaulted me." Like, he was upset. He was he was upset. Like, he was emotionally upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told him, I go, I hit you because you attacked that kid. You were strangling that kid, that little, like, the kid he was little. And
yeah,
it just wasn't a fair fight.
He goes, "Wait here." And he walks away, and he's walking back and forth on his cell phone. And I waved PJ and I waved the band down, like, "Yo, come here." Just in case, like, come here. I don't know who this guy's calling. And he's calling his friends. Like, I don't know what's going to happen.
That's sketchy.
So they come over. He comes up to me and he goes, "You guys need to pack up your shit and you need to leave. I talked to the owner of the bar and we don't want to press charges, but you guys have to go." So we left.
Yeah.
We left, and then we hung out with koala bears and kangaroos the next day. I went to a zoo, like a petting, like, zoo thing.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, yo, if I get charged in Australia, I'm fucked. Because this is the day before. We had like one day after this, and I had to go. If I had to go to court, if anything happened after that, I couldn't afford that. Yeah. Everything would have been, dude, would have been thousands of dollars in trouble. And
getting arrested in a foreign country above all, that's like yeah.
What year was that?
That was the last fight. So we were on a tour with Anchors. So all I have to do is look up Transit Anchors tour.
I'll do it. Transit Anchors tour.
Australia, 2000 and.
Oh, yeah.
Nope, just comes up with tourist stuff. Let me do this. I should know this. I'm just kind of blanking. 2012.
2012.
2012. My last fist fight was in 2012. Feel pretty good about that.
This one says the story so far anchors tour.
That one says it on Pinterest underneath it, but above it, I believe was 2012.
Oh, okay. Damn. So
Yeah, theirs is 2013. They did a 2013 tour. We did a 2012 tour.
I see. So this was like before. Oh, damn. So this is like after. I'm trying to think what year that was.
Listen and Forgive came out. This was right after Listen and Forgive.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
And it was at Paddington Hall in Brisbane, Australia.
Damn.
On August 26th. Was the last fight I got in.
That's amazing.
And I'm proud of that. But I'm not proud of the fight. I just thought that kid was getting murdered.
That was 2 days after we released our first film in a film festival. August 24th, 2012. Remember that?
That's right. It was
2 days after
and Kellen directed it, and he won an award for it. Actually,
it was absolutely.
So I was fighting
garbage.
people. You did something productive.
It was garbage.
Well, like we kind of look back on that stuff, and we realize it was like the starting point to
It was just making stupid films with our friends, and throwing them in festivals and pretending we're somebody. It was hilarious. But that's how we met people, and that was fun. So
it opened up a lot of doors for us. But yeah, continue.
I really respect your taste for diversity in music and the fact that you really don't like being labeled or placed into a box. Your love for music really branches out to many genres. What helped you develop this mentality? And are there any genres that you don't like personally?
So I think I feel like I answered that a little bit with just influences over the band. Yeah. We really got inspired by what Piebald and Saves the Day did, where they just put out a record and they changed their sound or they changed their genre, not completely, but you got to say there's a giant difference between Can't Slow Down and In Reverie. Mm-hmm. There's a giant difference between early Piebald records, like We're the Only Friends That We Have, and then When Life Hands You Lemons. I feel like those were bands. I know a lot of bands have done that, but I feel like Saves the Day, going from Can't Slow Down through Being Cool, Stay What You Are, In Reverie, Sound the Alarm, all those records have a different sound. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to Chris Conley in interviews, you can tell he's doing whatever he wants to do. He's following his own musical path. Yeah. He's not taking any advice or any direction from anyone but himself. And I always found that really cool about him. Mm-hmm. To be so confident in where he wanted to go. And I think that rubbed off. And I think Tim had a lot of that in him too. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of like one of the main engines of the entire band. It was like, I feel like it was his band that we were a part of, but not in a negative way. Yeah. I feel like it was his baby and his dream that we were a part of, and we added as much as we could to it and make it our own dream. Mm-hmm. But I think with his stubbornness to do whatever he wanted to do with his guitar and his song structure and his writing, and then me being stubborn with what I wanted to do, kept that was a no-brainer to do what we did. The song he wrote the most lyrics for was Young New England, where I kind of co-wrote those songs, less of me doing most of the lyrics and melodies. Mm-hmm. And then where it's more of me is Joyride, and then the albums before Young New England. So the most control he had lyrically, where I kind of had to collaborate, was probably Young New England.
Wow. And he did a lot of like the structuring of songs too, right?
Yeah, like he'd give me a guitar riff, just be a riff. Yeah. I would write my parts, and he would tell me what he loved and what if there was a part he didn't love and I needed to go back. Mm-hmm. And then we would run with that and then show it to the band, and then the band would add everything, and then we'd change and gut parts out and add new parts. And then sometimes he would take a demo, like he took the demos that were going to be what Listen and Forgive was originally going to be, which was like basically a sequel to Keep This to Yourself. And he literally took Long Lost Friends, which was a slower, sadder song. I guess it was slower than Keep It to Yourself, but it was sad and like crushingly sad. And then he made Long Lost Friends more of a catchy song.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember hearing it and loving it, but being like, I don't know how you took that song and made it this song, but cool. You know what I mean? Like, this is great. But then he would do that. He would like take a song that me and him already wrote and then go back to the drawing board with it and then show me what he did. And then there'd be songs that I would just write the song front to back, no music, where it'd just be the vocals, and then they would make the music around it. But that didn't happen as much as I'd like it to, but it happened a good amount. I would say it happened a few times, and I wrote like one riff on a Transit record. But yeah, it's always random.
I wanted to say that Keep Shining On tribute EP they did for Tim Landers was absolutely incredible. How did that all come together?
So that just came together out of love. I wasn't contacted directly about that. I got a text message about it. I think it was from Will, from Stories So Far, about that it was happening. And I was in North Carolina at the time, so I wasn't living in Massachusetts. So I wasn't with everyone else in the band living near them. So I understand that I wasn't like one of the main decision makers on it. But I think the idea was presented to Daniel or to Johnny, our manager. And then they gave the green light. And then I kind of found out about it later on, which isn't a bad thing at all. I was just so happy that it came out. And I don't know, it's just really beautiful that it came out and that it was made. And yeah, I'm just glad it exists. And I think the people that were a part of it are really beautiful for doing that. And yeah, I thought the songs that everyone picked was really cool.
Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, that's really all I have to say about it.
Do you have a favorite from the ones that they did?
I
like
don't know, maybe Stories. Yeah, Outbound. Probably Stories So Far's. Yeah, probably that.
So let me see here.
It was hard to listen to. I think I've listened to each song like 2 or 3 times, but total, because it's just like it's so much. It's so emotional that it hits so close to home. Like my brother passed away last year, and that really fucked me up. And then before that, obviously Tim passed away before that, before my older brother passed away. And each time it hits you, it just doesn't feel real. And I remember our drummer Daniel called me, and he out of the blue, and I haven't talked to him in a while, not for any negative reason, we're just caught up in what we're doing. And he called me, and I was watching True Detective season 1, and I said, as soon as he picks up, I go, oh man, I was just thinking about you. I'm watching this show. I'm watching True Detective, and I remember Tim showing me this show. I said Tim too to Daniel. I go, I remember Tim and you being obsessed with this show and talking to me about it and showing me it at like a hotel somewhere on tour. And then he got really quiet, and I'm like, what? And then he told me that Tim passed away. And it was just so weird that like he called and I immediately started talking about him, and then he told me the news. But actually I talked to Tim and had a real heart to heart about music, and he told me that he was really like happy that he met me, and really happy for all the songs we wrote together. I'm not giving it justice of what he said. I remember I was doing a million things at once when he called me, so I wasn't really free as much as I wish I was. But he called me out of the blue. I had no idea who he was. The number was a Saugus, Massachusetts number, and he's not from Saugus. He's from Stoneham. So I was like, Saugus, maybe this is my dad calling me. Did he get a new cell phone? Like, what is this number? Or my brother, Kevin, who was alive at the time. And I remember just picking up the phone, because it said Saugus, and then it was Tim's voice. And it took me a while to figure out who was calling me. I was kind of like, when someone calls you and you're not really sure, you don't want to be rude and be like, hey man, yeah, everything's cool, man. Everything's great. And then you started talking about Mineral. You started telling me about Mineral, the band Mineral. And I remember just talking to him about that, like after I realized who it was, because his voice sounded so different. And then we had a great talk about music. And this is the craziest thing when someone passed away, you never think that when you're talking to them, it's the last time. You'll never have that feeling. And then after it does happen and they do pass away, you realize that was like the most important conversation you could have had with them or it was like it's a bigger conversation than you think it was. You know what I mean? That was the last time you talked to him. And yeah, man, it's just crazy. It still doesn't feel real. I love his family so much. His dad's unbelievable. His brother Seamus is incredible. That whole family is just incredible. Everyone is in his family, his immediate family is just so beautiful and caring and passionate about what he did. You know what I mean? And supported what he did so much. And yeah, I'm just so thankful to have been a part of his life, such a big part, and that Tim was such a big part of mine. So,
and
His-
you know, I
his
can really
work's
relate,
incredible.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can really relate because, you know, especially when you have that tight bond and you, especially like you guys are on the road together for years, you know, you develop a really special bond and it's very, and a chemistry like no other. So, and like when somebody's just like gone just like that, it's just like it's something that you never really comprehend with it. You know,
no,
you
it
never,
doesn't feel real. You don't really accept it mentally. But I will say
exactly.
this: this is how I remember Tim. How I remember him is we're outside. I think it was Taking Back Sunday's bus, and Adam was obsessed with like working out and like doing planks.
Wait,
We'd always
really?
do planks, and Adam would get everyone to do planks and
No
hold
way.
a plank, and we're all planking, and I think Adam's smoking a cigarette. He has a cigarette in his mouth while he's planking. I think Tim did too, because Tim was smoking cigarettes at the time.
Yeah.
And he's planking, and this guy walks over and he looks at all these dudes just doing planks outside this bus, and he just stops and he looks at us. And Tim goes, he's like, "Yep." He's like doing the plank. He's like, "Yep, just a bunch of cool guys doing some cool guy shit." Like, to this complete stranger, and he's saying with like a cigarette in his mouth or whatever. He's like, just a couple of cool guys doing some cool guy shit. Nothing going on here or whatever. And that's Tim. Like, he always said the funniest fucking thing you could say in that moment to a complete stranger without any hesitation and just light up a room. And that was the coolest thing about his personality, more so than the amazing songs he wrote and how creative he was on guitar. He was just a fucking guy that would come in a room, say the most ridiculous fucking thing, not even hesitate or give a shit what people thought about him. And it was, but he never tried to hurt people's feelings either, but he was just like a timeless personality. And I miss that about him more than anything.
Do you have any like video footage of like some of the shenanigans you guys did on the road?
I don't know. I mean, I remember so much in my head that I don't really look for any of that stuff. And I mean, I'm sure there's like clips of stuff in like old music videos and stuff, but a lot of it's on phones. The problem with these fucking phones is you get a new phone or your phone breaks or you upload it to a cloud and you lose
fucking
everything. Yeah.
So I've lost thousands of photos, thousands of videos on flip phones or iPhone 1 or iPhone 2. Era that we were touring in, you wouldn't have, I don't think a lot of people depended on Google Drive. I mean, I think these things existed, but I think they were either overpriced at the time or it just wasn't a thing that caught on. So I think a lot of people lost photos. But
I remember having one of those LG chocolates, the one where like the keyboard comes
I
out.
remember that thing.
Oh man.
Well, because I was
like
gonna
second phone.
Well, because what I was gonna say was, say if you guys got a bunch of footage from like, you know, stuff you did on the road for like the decade you guys were together, you know, and maybe doing like a DVD, kind of like what Every Time I Die did, like what Pantera did, like a video for like the fans to see, you know, like
I wish
pilot together.
I wish that existed. I don't know if it does. I mean, you'd have to go through bands that we played the most shows with, like Man Overboard, and they would be on their phones and their hard drives, and then it would be on Brian Lally, who was our merch guy for the longest time, probably one of our longest running merch guys. I think he has a lot of photos, a lot of videos and photos, and I think PJ might have a good amount. Tori was really good at keeping stuff, like keeping videos and photos, and organizing it. Daniel was too. I was the worst. I've lost so much stuff. But yeah, I mean, maybe everyone's just so caught up in what they're doing. Tori has Bloom and all his other music, like all his solo stuff, and then Daniel's doing incredible at photography. If you go on his Instagram, he's like, and he's got his own business. And then PJ is just working like a beast. He's like double working, and he's going to school. And yeah, I mean. Yeah, there's definitely stuff that exists, but I don't know. We don't really do anything transit wise. Like we're all just doing our own stuff, and we're in different parts of the country now.
Yeah.
So, I'd be surprised if we do anything again ever. I mean, I hope so, but
would you say there would ever be a chance of a reunion?
I don't know. I don't know because it's just. With Tim gone, that's definitely a big one.
Yeah,
But I'm not saying we won't because of that, but that's definitely a big one. That definitely affects that. And then I had a lot of PTSD, like I guess you call it that, but like I used to have nightmares like every night about dying in a van accident.
Oh,
that was a big reason why I think. And then after the Ghost Inside accident, that really shook me up.
Oh,
so there's a lot of reasons why we stopped being a band. And it wasn't just one reason we stopped being a band, but for my reasons personally, why I was like, okay, not touring anymore. It was a lot of it just, I didn't feel like it was like I could die on the road. I felt like I would eventually.
Yeah.
And we got in a lot of close calls. We hit a lot of black ice as a band. And then I almost killed us. We almost we hit black ice on a mountain in Wyoming.
Oh shit.
I think about that at least once a month still to this day. And this was way back when. This was probably before Stay Home came out. This was like when we first started touring.
Damn.
I believe so. But I think about that all the time. Like we literally easily could have died and almost died. And it was a good amount of close calls, at least a handful of close calls where I think if I was on the road again, if I went on the road again ever, it would be because I really want to play shows and I really want to give people something special.
Yeah.
But it would be against the raging, terrifying fear of death. So I would have to deal with that.
Yeah.
For me, I would have to conquer that demon. I don't even like driving a car, dude. And I got in an accident not too long ago, like I said earlier. So so many fucking people die in cars, and I'm terrified of highways. For someone who toured for 8 years, I am terrified of the highway. I've seen a lot of cars completely engulfed in flames.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my reasons why, not doing it anymore seemed like the right time. I think the Ghost Inside thing shook me up more than anything. And it just made me realize like, wow, these are people we played shows with, we toured with, we've run into at festivals, and then that happened. And it definitely shook me a lot. But yeah, and there was other reasons. Other people wanted to start businesses, like start a family business with their brother, or different endeavors happened too at the same time that led to us no longer being a band.
I think you ended at a good time though, because there really wasn't a bad release. And I feel like Joyride was just such a great album to go out on. And I feel like it left fans wanting more, which is kind of a good thing.
We ended on the word end. That was cool.
I'm
like a big word nerd. And Joyride ends on the word, this is how it ends. So ends.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of cool for like word nerdery. Kind of like that. And I didn't do it on purpose, but I remember writing that. I had a really weird experience writing the lyrics to that song. Tim wrote the bones of the song. So Tim wrote like the demo of the song and the lyrics first. And then I gutted not all of it, but I changed the song into a different song because he wasn't with the band at that point. But I took I wish I'd have to have the song in front of me, but the song is written by me and him. But when he first presented the song, because it was his song before he left the band, and it was the band's song because it was all of us working on it.
This is my
But
song. This is
when
my
I was
song.
working on the song, I had a really weird, like I had like an experience that I never had writing a song, um, where it felt like a song was coming into my head, like from somewhere else,
Yeah.
and lyrics came into my head that came from somewhere else. That was the love sick and lonely part of the song, and I looked up who it was, and it was like an old song. I think it was like 1940s or 50s, and it was a singer. Um, it was a female singer. I think her name's Anna Baker,
Okay.
that left the United States and went to France and became really successful over there. And the words came from her and the melody came from her, but I never heard the song in my life. So I went on YouTube and typed in the words that song was from, and I hit play. And when I hit play, the whole room that I was in, the bedroom where I started writing the transit songs from day one, the same bedroom at my mom's house in Saugus, the whole room felt like it was electrified. Like the air felt like it was electrified. I know it sounds stupid and crazy, but
No.
um, I remember being like, "What the fuck?" Like having like a ghost, and it felt like a kind of like a ghostly encounter, but I
Yeah.
didn't see anything. I just got the worst, I guess, the worst chills and pins and needles from clicking play on that song.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, for some reason, being like, "This is, I gotta fucking make this I have to put all my energy and work into this song now because I had some weird moment." Um,
That's crazy.
and then I didn't know. Maybe it was the universe telling me that was the last transit song. I don't know, but
That's freaky.
I know all the rooms. What the transit songs are from my perspective are the rooms that I wrote the songs in.
Yeah.
So the only one I got woken up in the middle of the night by a roommate, and I remember writing that song after a roommate kicked someone down a flight of stairs where I was living. It was like 3 a.m, and I didn't write the song about the person, but I remember being like, "I'm staying up now." Like that was terrifying, and I guess I might as well work on a song.
And which
So
song
I
was
wrote
that?
the only one.
The only
So I
one.
wrote
Okay.
I wrote that at, like on a kitchen table in Salem, Massachusetts, and
Damn.
then
That's a strong
where else?
opening.
Ignition and Friction came from the Listen and Forgive era of transit, I believe. Nothing Left to Lose came from listening to like a lot of Postal Service and Death Cab for Cutie,
Hell
and
yeah.
just trying to make like a fun song. Sweet Resistance did too,
That's
I
my favorite.
believe. No, Nothing Left to Lose was more of a like a Young New England kind of song.
Yeah.
Fine by Me came from the Listen and Forgive kind of era, because I wrote a lot of songs while we were writing Listen and Forgive that I never got rid of. I just kept them and kept working on them and tweaking them from there.
Yeah.
Summer Dust, I wrote rhymey. I was trying to like rhyme a lot in that song. And then Pins and Needles, the same thing. And then Follow Me was more of a singer-songwriter attempt.
Mhm.
But yeah, what a
And you
fun,
got
this is my favorite record of Transit for sure is Joyride.
Saturday, Sunday too.
Yep.
Actually, I say what you were gonna say.
No, you're good. I'm just looking up lyrics of songs because I haven't looked at these in forever.
No, I just remember. I remember there was like a review of Joyride when it came out, and this one asshole critic was calling Saturday, Sunday cheesy.
Cool. Sure.
I don't know if you
Okay.
remember that, and I was like, "How the fuck?" Like that was such a banger. Like, how do these critics?
Well,
Come up with it?
when you have a record like Keep This to Yourself or Listen and Forgive, where
Yeah.
it's more emotion driven and it's more angst driven,
Yeah.
it's really hard to go from that to then write songs like indie songs. Like I felt like
Yeah.
Joyride was more listening to like Tokyo Police Club
Yeah.
and like Death Cab for Cutie and Broken Social Scene, but I don't think they sound like those records. But we were influenced by those bands a lot, and at least I was. And I don't know, you can't go. I feel like people are gonna have a problem if you go from like really crushingly sad songs to trying to write songs that are fun but also sad and that excite you, because when I sing a song with Transit or any band, it feels like each song feels like a different car that I'm behind the steering, like I'm behind a different car or a different bike. It's a different engine. It's a different destination. It's a different feel, vibe, like that I'm riding a vibe.
Yeah.
And Joyride was the most fun. That's why it's called Joyride.
Mhm.
The most fun. Those are the most fun vehicles or things I could transport myself in with words and melodies. So I
Yeah.
love Joyride because it was so fun to sing
Mhm.
versus being sad.
Exactly.
The songs I'm working on now are sad, but they're fun and sad. Where Listen and Forgive and the records before that are more just sad. Where the song ends, and even though I'm in front of all these people, I'm like, oh fuck, like what is wrong with me? So you just keep living this what's wrong with me. Where with Joyride, I didn't have to do that. I got to have fun and have a party, but there are also some really sad songs in the record too. But it was more about a party and having fun and adding the sad in there instead of just being defeatingly, crushingly sad, because we did that for so many songs.
Yeah.
So I'm coming back to that sad part, but I'm also not forgetting what I learned from Joyride with the songs that I'm working on now with Narrowcast.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if that guy was just trolling or what, because I think Joyride's flawless.
Thank you.
Like honestly, that's such a good album to end on.
I don't think, like, if I were to go back and change stuff, I don't think I don't think it is for me. But I don't think anyone is, because I'm so fucking picky with everything.
Yeah.
I think
You got a different perspective though.
I got the weirdest perspective. Consistency wise, I thought I was most proud of Stay Home. I only thought one song on that was weaker than it needed to be. And
wait, which one?
so EPs I feel like are stronger because it's less work. It's more concentrated. So I'm really the most out of everything Transit. Looking back at it, I'm most proud of Joyride. I'm most proud of Stay Home, and I'm most proud of Something Left Behind, which was, you can't really find it anywhere. I believe it was on Mightier Than Sword, but it was like kind of like different songs from each album, and it was an acoustic album, but it was like a full band acoustic album. And one of my favorite songs I ever wrote was called Indoor Voices, which is on that record. But I also like a lot of Listen Not to Find Us, because it's got a lot of just bare bones emotional songs. And this is a version of me that's not a songwriter, that's literally trying to figure it out and not knowing what they're doing. And a lot of honesty in that. You don't know as many tricks that kind of work, you know what I mean, to make a song. So I don't know. And I don't love Young New England. I don't think is a perfect record. Looking back at it, I think it's got some of the most meaningful songs I ever worked on. And then some songs I wish we could kind of go back and could have had fine tuned, but Weathered Souls, Summer Me. Weathered Souls and Summer Me are two of my favorite, most proud songs we have as a band.
Yeah. So you stated in the past that you enjoyed the process of changing Transit's sound with each passing record and that you never wanted to stay the same. How was this process challenging?
Backlash of fans.
Yeah.
Because and I was the same way. When In Reverie came out with Saves the Day, I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? I wanted Stay What You Are too. Like, what happened? And I feel like I was an asshole in that moment, because In Reverie is one of my favorite Saves the Day records now.
Yeah.
It happened with Piebald too, and they had more of a piano record after We're the Only Friends That We Have. It happened with me with a lot of bands. Tegan and Sarah had The Con, and then they put out more of like a dance record, more of an electronic record, and that record's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But when it came out, I was like, I don't know, and then I was wrong. But I'm not saying people were wrong about our stuff, but that was it. It was just we wouldn't have been a band if we had to do what people expected us to do. We wouldn't have been a band, because then it would have felt like work. And when it feels like work, we'd rather go work a job and make actual make money, make money that you can provide a family or own a house or pay the bills, because in the music industry you're not paying bills. We played with giant, pretty big bands. We met a couple bigger bands than us on Warped Tour, of different genres. Like some of the heavier bands we met on Warped Tour, where none of them were you're like, wow, you had a big crowd and they're all like struggling. Like
Yeah.
so many bands struggle to pay the bills and get by. And if we're going to work for free or just get by financially, we're going to do exactly what we want, no questions asked. And it doesn't matter how people review anything we put out because
100%.
yeah, because they do have an effect on you as a band. Like, yeah, because they affect how people definitely affect the way people perceive records by reading the reviews. But they don't have an effect on how you write at all unless you read and listen to them. So I'm glad we didn't do that.
So how was your experience shooting the video for Young New England? Was that like a general call for fans to come out and be a part of it?
Oh man, we were definitely drank during that. We definitely drank. One punk kid, which made me feel good. This kid, this like punk rock kid, like straight up punk kid, drove his bike by our set. Didn't know who Transit was probably or anything, but he just saw that this band was shooting a music video. And I just remember saying, like, he yelled at us like, "This is Boston, not LA." And I just remember being like, yeah, fuck, like fuck us, like basically like, yeah, fuck these guys. I remember like just yelling back at him because I just thought that was so awesome.
Did he stay to be in it?
No, he just drove his bike by and talked shit, and that's what Boston is. It's a bunch of people talking shit. But yeah, the video was fun. I don't know. It's definitely. It's not like one of my main memories, especially because we were exhausted and definitely drinking.
Yeah.
In the city and partying. It was cool. It was cool. That's my mom's favorite Transit song is Young New England.
Really?
Yeah, she always tells me about that, and it's not my favorite Transit song. I definitely love it. It definitely makes me feel good about where I'm from.
Yeah.
I definitely never thought we'd write a song like that song.
Yeah. Definitely the most unique
Another
Transit song.
older. That was another older song that was supposed to be on Listen and Forgive.
Yeah.
That didn't make it. That didn't really make sense with the guitar, the song structure, or anything. And then we reworked it into more of like a sing along kind of song.
Yeah, that would have been a weird one for this Listen and Forgive.
Young New England as a record to me feels the best when we play it in Massachusetts or in Connecticut, where those songs come alive and it feels like we're now a local band again in a good way. But the heart of the band for me is Listen and Forgive.
For sure.
Joyride isn't because it's the end of the band, but the heart of the band, what Transit is to me, will always be Stay Home and Listen and Forgive. Yeah, that's like the heart of the body that is Transit from my perspective.
So who the hell wanted you to drink out of a shoe? Was that your idea?
Me. We played in Australia and kids were doing shoeies. They were coming up on stage. Kids were going so nuts. We never played in Australia. We played in Sydney, Australia. Two kids lost their pants during our set. So they were climbing on top of each other and they weren't pulling their pants off to be naked, but literally kids were climbing and like pulling clothes. And it was just like this crazy fucking shit show of a crowd, just nuts. And I remember like seeing like two people's like a pant leg going off and like, it's just like, what the fuck is going on? But they weren't naked at the show, but I remember just seeing like articles of clothing and being like, what the fuck? What crowd? Crazy. And then someone came up on our stage, took off their shoe, poured a beer into their shoe and chugged their beer from their shoe.
Oh my God.
And I'm sitting there and I'm appalled. Like, what the fuck? It was like the grossest shoe ever. And then we were drinking in the video and I was like, watch this. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And then I did that.
Was that your shoe or somebody else's?
Yeah, no, it was my shoe. That was the shoe I wore on Warped Tour. And it was the grossest fucking thing I've ever done. I could feel it go down my throat. And I could feel my throat tingling with all this bacteria. And I remember immediately sobering up like, fuck, why did I do this? Why? That was an old ass shoe. I did all of Warped Tour in those shoes. That's the shoes I got. I think they were Vans that I got on Warped Tour. And it was a really bad mistake. And I did it because of Sydney, Australia, because we played that show. Hey, get off that. I cat's clawing at my speakers. Get up. He's like trying to climb the speaker face. Yeah, I did it for Sydney, Australia. That show, that memory is why I did that.
Aside from the crazy security accident, did you have any crazy set mishaps?
Where? Anywhere in particular?
I just said any set mishaps, and did you ever get hurt during a set?
Yeah.
Anywhere.
I jumped. I front flipped. I'm such an asshole. I front flipped into the crowd off a speaker, and I landed on a kid's head with my neck. And my back was completely fucked for like all of California dates. Yeah. And that was in Detroit. We played a festival in Detroit.
Sounds about right.
And then I got hurt in Phoenix, Arizona. A kid came into. Oh, I love this. This dude, he's like a construction worker or like a welder. Just like you could tell, he just worked a job.
Yeah.
He comes in and he's older than everyone else in the crowd. So he's older than everybody, and he fucking comes in, and it's "Stay Home." We're playing like his favorite song, I guess, and he just comes into the show. Last song, it's "Stay Home." I literally, we're playing the song, and I see this kid on the corner of my eye. He's in the doorway, and he goes like this. Like he does this with his hands. So I look over, and then he runs through the crowd, and he's so excited. He just punches his fist forward. The fist hits the back of the microphone stand. The mic stand goes flying into my teeth, and I chip my teeth. So my front teeth has a chip out of it because of this kid still to this day. And I was just bleeding. So that was one. And I just love how funny it was. It was out of love. It was like, I love this. Fuck you. Boom. The neck thing happened. Tim jumped off the stage during Man Overboard set in Texas, and he had to go to the hospital on a stretcher because he hurt his neck, and he was in a neck brace. He's like, I'm so embarrassed. It was funny. And then in Firebird in St. Louis,
oh my God,
I had my backpack in the van, and one of our windows got smashed in, I think from like people roughing around, or someone tried to break into the van or something.
Yeah.
So there's glass all over the floor in the van. I think it was a break-in before, like a day or two before that. Yeah. So there's glass all over the floor. We didn't sweep it up enough. My backpack's on the floor, and as I pick it up, one of the straps gets caught, and it's got like some resistance where the backpack goes like kind of breaks away, and there was glass on the backpack, and it went into my eye. So I had glass in my eye, and we played the set, and I was wearing sunglasses during the set. And then we played the set, and then I went to the hospital, got like $1,000 hospital bill, had no insurance. And they had to drop stuff into my eye. And then I remember there was like a tornado warning or a hurricane warning, and I just remember the speakers in the hospital going like, it said something about like code black or code red, and I remember having the biggest panic attack on the hospital bed, not because of the glass in my eye, but just the combination of the day, and that's the only ones I can remember. I think there was more than that, but the funniest thing about shows is people don't realize that when you play longer sets and you eat fast food, that you come very close to shitting your pants, but you don't. But sometimes people will leave the set. Like I remember PJ left during a song at the end of our set just to pee. Like he had to pee so bad. And while we're playing, he's like, hey, like he's giving us this look like, let's wrap it up. Like, let's go. And I've had those moments too, where it's like, man, I gotta shit. And you just don't, you just wait. But you feel like during certain songs, and it happens, like you feel like during certain songs, like, man, if this happens, it happens. And I'm lucky that it didn't happen, but I definitely feel like there's some close calls, and I'm glad that that didn't happen, because that would be fucking awful.
Damn, dude. Did you ever have any like pre-show meditations, or were there any secrets to keeping your voice in check?
Drink a lot of water. I have acid reflux. I have a hiatal hernia, so I constantly have stomach acid in my throat.
Dude, I have the worst acid reflux.
Yeah, I just used to cry. It was so upsetting. I was like just wanting to sing in a band, and then feeling like the universe and my body was working against me. I got polyps in my throat. I didn't have to get surgery on it though, which was good. but they like went away. Like they like were just like old polyps.
Yeah.
But yeah, dealing with that a lot was rough.
So what happens if you have like a can of SpaghettiOs?
I don't.
You just don't.
It's worse than drugs. If you have like, or if you have any kind of hangover from anything or alcohol, I would
Yeah.
say I would rather be hungover than eat like 2 cans of SpaghettiOs and just die of throbbing pain. All
Oh,
it goes up to here, it goes up in like your chin. You feel it almost behind your ears. It just goes everywhere if I have something acidic or if I have red wine. So I'll never really appreciate red wine for the rest of my life.
does that run
Um,
in your family? Do other people have that?
yeah, yeah, it runs in my family.
Oh,
My one of my grandmothers, well, it's my great aunt, apologized to me. She's like, "I'm so sorry. I feel like it's my fault." I was like, "Why?" She's like, "From eating all this spicy food and drinking all this red wine, I feel like all you kids have like oh, because of my generation just not caring about what they ate, spicy or acidic. You guys all have problems." I'm like, "I don't know how it works. I think you're wrong, but I did get an apology."
oh, that's hilarious.
Yep.
So I also heard pickle juice. Is pickle juice good for drinking before a show or no?
Pickles so much.
I do too.
I would rather someone punch me in the eye. If you had to make me drink, dude, I would rather
Yeah.
get punched in the eye or the nose than drink like a jar of pickle juice.
It's gotta be tough.
You have to put a fucking gun to my head to want that. I hate pickles. I hate mustard. Oh,
So there's not like something you can drink though before a show besides water that will help with your voice?
shitload of water. A gallon of water a day is the best thing that a singer can do.
Okay.
Green tea
Manuka,
helps.
yeah, certain tea, because certain tea dries out your vocal cords. I would say Manuka honey is really good, a really fancy honey. Throat coat helps, but it also restricts. I feel like if you drink it too much, you don't really get.
Mm,
You feel like you have less to work with. I guess it's hard to explain, but I feel like I
less of a
drank too much
range.
of that. Yeah, I feel like I drank too much of that at one time. Some
Yeah.
people swear by like olive oil. I just drank a lot of water, a gallon of water, and the biggest thing was buying actual vocal warm-ups. So I bought the Zen of Screaming vocal warm-ups from Melissa Cross, and those helped me more than anything because they were for singers that scream and sing.
Mhm.
So if I'm just singing, I'm good with those warm-ups. So those warm-ups kept my voice alive for most of transit was Melissa Cross, the
Mhm.
Zen of Screaming.
So,
With-
say what you're gonna say?
Oh yeah, I was gonna go. So within the past few years, because I know Transit's been disbanded for about 5 years now. Has anybody like ever stopped you in public and like recognized you?
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah, like Rockinized. Just like my
Recognize.
friend's band's coin like said that once, and I fucking died. I was like, that's so funny. Yeah. I mean, not in Charlotte. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, I
Uh,
love Charlotte. It's beautiful
yeah,
there.
yeah. Charlotte's great. I live here now.
My brother used to live there.
So not here. I mean, it's happened to me. It's happened to me here a handful of times. In Boston, it happens if I go to a show, or if I was at. It happens randomly. I was at an arcade in Salem, and kids from Vermont were there, and they were like, "Joe," and I'm like, "Oh, who are you? Yeah, what do you want?" What the fuck? And that was weird. And then and then I was at Common Market in Plaza Midwood, where I used to live in Charlotte. And there was a fan that was there that recognized me, and I thought that was really random because I just moved here, and that made me feel kind of special, like, oh wow. And then Electric Factory, I think, or one of the bigger venues here, two kids came up to me, and one of my friends thought that I put them up to it, but he was also drunk. And I was like,
Yeah.
that was the douchiest thing you could have said, because that is not the case. I don't want any attention ever. Not my personality type. I would rather just be a fly on the wall
Yeah.
most of the time. But yeah, it happens. It happens more so in Massachusetts, and it happens if I'm at a show. If I go to a show, any like a show with a band that's close enough to what Transit sounded like, or tour with Transit, maybe one or two people will say something, and it feels good. The best thing is I keep my Facebook. I don't really use social media.
Mhm.
I use Instagram kind of, but I don't really use social media, and it's really good to keep them because I like to be off of my phone and just live in the now as much as I can.
Yeah.
but it's good that I have social media because people will reach out to me and I'll be able to connect with them and, send them a paragraph or send them, bands that I really like or just kind of talk about music. So I really like that. But yeah, I really love our fans and I think we had really interesting. I think we had a lot of people that played in bands that listened to us, and I think we had a lot of people that play guitar that listened to us, and a lot of people that like heavy music, like hardcore bands. Which like there's a lot of heavy bands, and then there's a lot of bad heavy bands, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And there's a good amount of good heavy bands, like well, tasteful, I guess, because it's all taste buds. I don't think there's good or bad music. It's all just taste buds like food. It's all music is.
Yeah.
But in my opinion of what I think is good for heavy bands, like hardcore bands, I think there's a lot of fans that like good hardcore bands that like us, which was really surprising to me, especially further on in Trans's career, where with the heavier stuff and the faster stuff we wrote, it made more sense that there were fans that liked hardcore bands, but it didn't really make as much sense to me. And it was a pleasant surprise when I would talk about like Bane or American Nightmare or Converge with people during the era of like Young New England or Joyride and like the later songs. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Do you go to Waffle House a lot up in Charlotte?
No, I haven't gone to Waffle House since touring, and I had no. My wife brought me Waffle House because I had to work, and her family was visiting us.
Yeah.
When we bought our house, my father-in-law drove from Meredith, New Hampshire, all the way down to Charlotte and helped us work on the house. He's an incredible person, and yeah, they went to Waffle House and they brought me Waffle House, and it was great.
Sick. That's awesome.
Long story
Yeah.
short,
So, what does music mean to you?
everything. It's life. It's life.
I
It's everything. I mean, short answer, it's everything. Music is a friend. I've probably said this so many times. I sound like a fucking broken record. But music is the friend. Music is the best friend. The Corey Matthews, Sean Hunter of your life. It is the best friend that will always be there for you in your happiest times and in your darkest times, highest highs and lowest lows. Music, when I meet someone, which doesn't happen often, but when you meet someone who doesn't really like music, I'm just fucking stumped. I'm just
like, how do you live?
how? I'm really thankful for the Beatles. So without the Beatles, I don't think maybe it would have been a different band, but the Beatles were. I mean, having Sergeant Pepper on cassette in a Walkman as like a 6-year-old,
Amazing.
sitting on the floor playing with Legos and Kinects or playing Mega Man 2 or 3 on Nintendo and listening to like a fucking incredible Beatles album
Yeah.
was a huge impact on me to realize that I love music. So it all came from that moment.
What's your favorite Beatles song?
Eleanor Rigby.
Oh, it's just because the first one?
Just Eleanor Rigby was the first song because it's like how Thursday writes a song. So Thursday writes a song, and there's a person in a room, and there's a piano playing, and there's a taxi cab outside, and this is the weather, and this is the time, and this is what the clock is at this time, and the shadows are casting this on the wall, and there's so many moving parts in Thursday's album "War All the Time," especially. That's my favorite Thursday album. The Beatles were doing that way before, obviously, and they do it with Eleanor Rigby. There's people, there's places, there's things, there's stories. It's a whole little town in a song, and that blew my mind as a kid listening to that. And it's such a sad song. So that's the most important Beatles song to me, and that's probably the most important song. I think the most important songs in my music career to hear at the right time, right place to inspire me to want to do music or play an instrument was Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles, and it was probably, let me think. It was Stay What You Are. It was, and why am I blanking? Because I'm exhausted. At Your Funeral by Saves the Day was the most important, which is also songs inspired by the Beatles, like Stay What You Are and Reverie have Beatles influences in them. But when I heard Stay What You Are, when I heard At Your Funeral, I threw away all my Korn and Limp Bizkit albums.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing you say that in an interview.
Yeah.
Funny.
So that was like, I'm into underground music. I'm into, because that's an indie record.
Yeah.
One of the best indie records ever. But that record was such a big influence on me to want to be a singer in a band and be a front man and try to wing it and sing. And yeah, that record was the most important record. Without that record, I don't think Transit I wouldn't have been in Transit without that record and without the band Lifetime. That album by Saves the Day and Lifetime existing are why I sang for Transit. Period.
So you have this new podcast you've been doing with John Nolan from Taking Back Sunday and a few other guys. How's that been going?
Amazing. It's just fun. I didn't write a thing for it. So we have this episode tomorrow and we're doing the episode and it's on a specific topic. And I haven't written a damn thing because we've been so busy with everything else. I'm doing this. And then we went on a hike today and, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and then start working on it. But then I'm also smoking brisket, which is going to be great.
Oh,
so I'm going to work on the podcast, like start writing what my subject song is going to be tomorrow morning probably, and then be ready to record at like 4 p.m. or 3
You'll
p.m.
be fine, dude. You're the best at talking.
Thanks, man. I don't know. I love talking. I actually am in the group chat right now, making sure I'm not missing any decisions here on it. No, I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. It's just bunch of banter. All right, cool.
So how does it feel to be a homeowner?
I never thought I would own a house in my life. I think if I can, if I can sing in a band and do a band for as long as I did, anyone fucking can. Because I was terrified, fly on the wall for most of my entire life. Not the personality type that most singers or musicians have, I think. But owning a house, I never thought I'd own a house. I went to school, I got in debt. I was in music for a long time, even more in debt. I never thought I would ever be able to own a house. I never thought that would actually be in my future. And I really thought that doing music for as long as I did was the reason I never would, but I didn't regret doing the band. But I thought that all my friends were saving up money and we were just like, getting by or just paying bills. That I kind of missed my opportunity, but I also thought that was fine. You know what I mean? I was like, I'd much rather have these memories than a house. You know what I mean? But then my wife and I worked our asses off and didn't spend like any money, like we pinched every single penny, did everything we possibly could to save money and not blow it. What you realize is most people blow money on going out and drinking. And I like to go out and drink, but that's where everyone's losing all their money. It's subscriptions to like Netflix, Hulu, this, like all those take away your money. Car payments take away all your money, and student loans especially, because they're almost criminal how like expensive they are.
It's ridiculous.
And then what you don't realize is going out and drinking, spending $80 here, $100 here, blah, blah, blah. And then you have no savings. And that's what a lot of people do. And it's just don't do that. Just save all your money.
Yeah. So where'd you guys meet then initially?
Me and my wife met in Salem. We got introduced through a friend. Oh, wow. We just started talking about Die Antwood and like weird music and weird books. I don't like Die Antwood, but we were talking about like Modest Mouse, and we are talking about a lot of like art, visual art, movie art, like
Hocus Pocus.
We just really started talking about art and music, and it just started real like she's like my best friend in the whole world, and
so cool.
I just always wanted to be hanging out with her and be around her. Period. Before we were dating, we were friends and hanging out, and I just always I was just gravitated. She's such a amazing personality, so funny and smart, and
Mm-hmm.
loves music like me. So I like literally met my other half
Yeah.
into the same stuff. And yeah, and that was it. We met in Salem. We hung out a bunch. She knew who Transit was. She wasn't like a Transit fan. She's like, oh, she like knew that we existed,
Yeah.
but was into like punk bands more so than pop punk bands or
That's
whatever you
cool.
want to call Transit, an indie band.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I love Salem. Salem's where I started. My whole music, everything with me, with music and local bands, all came from Salem.
Mm-hmm.
So meeting someone from Salem was like, oh wow, like this is great. And
That's so
yeah,
sick.
so that's how we met, just through a mutual friend.
I went there a few years ago, did a road trip from Buffalo to Salem just to check out all the spooky shit during October, you know?
Hmm.
And I just remember having the worst restaurant experience there. Like I legit,
Where did you go?
some pancake place. I don't know which place this was, but it's like right there. It's like right in Salem. Like you probably could walk to it from all the creepy stuff.
I'm so mad at you right now if I think it's what I think it is. So
Yeah.
Fountain Place Diner. It's called the Fountain Place. I think this
Fountain,
is what you're talking about.
Fountain
Fountain Place
Place.
Diner.
That sounds kind of close. Let me see. Fountain Place Diner.
I hope it's not, because if this is the place, this is one of my favorite. This is my favorite place to have breakfast, but not for pancakes. It's not what I would get.
Oh wait, this is more of like an outdoor thing though, isn't it? I don't know if it's. I don't think it's this place. No.
Fountain Place is indoor.
Shit, which one's the one I went to then? I don't know. Okay, so it was one of them. I'll figure it out and I'll let you know. But I just
There's
remember
Deb's Diner and there's Fountain Place Diner, and every other diner or breakfast place in Salem, I don't really care about. Those two, Deb's Diner, and people like Reds. People really like Reds. I think Reds on in Saugus is better. Well, I think it's in Peabody. It's on Route 1, but there's two places in Salem for breakfast that I really love, and I think we'd still live in Salem if Massachusetts wasn't so expensive.
yeah.
But living in Salem in the summer and riding your bike around Salem and like
Oh,
just
it's so
reading
sick.
books is unfucking believable. It
Oh
is
yeah.
a magical place to fucking live in the summertime. And then in the winter, it's fucking horrible. And then in October, Halloween, it's horrible because there's so much traffic due to Halloween that it's just a miserable place. And everything's packed. Everything's packed and everything's a huge ass wait to get in anywhere.
It was
Yeah,
100% Reds, I think.
yeah, Reds is okay. People love it. It's been there a long time. I didn't like Reds, so I don't blame you for that. But that was the worst. That's hilarious.
No, so I basically go there, right? And it's all right, it's a pancake place, whatever. And so I'm eating my food, right? And I grab the syrup dispenser and we just had a really like rude waitress. And I poured some
Welcome to
syrup.
Boston.
I poured some syrup on my fucking pancake and the whole top came off and like the whole thing of syrup went all over the thing. I'm like, who's gonna eat that? And I'm like, it's not even my fault. Like I didn't loosen it up. It was just like that. It just
Someone did
popped
it to
off.
you, yeah.
And I told her that, and she totally didn't even get me a new thing of pancakes or anything and charged me full price. I'm like, all right. Hope the witches get you.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. Reds is fine. It's just okay.
I'm sure it's
I'm not a
fine.
Red fan. Best things about Salem are Harrison's Comics.
Mhm.
Just going into, I can't remember the name of it now for the life of me. The old school, like the retro video game shop. It's pretty cool down there.
Yeah.
Same street. And then I really like Fountain Place. I really like Deb's Diner.
Debs.
Deb's is great. Hot Dog Company is great. I guess it's not a ton of places I can think of right now, but a lot of good food. Flying Saucer Pizza is great.
Mhm.
Roast beefs, Bill and Bob's on Bridge Street. It's my favorite
Ooh,
roast beef.
they got good roast beef down there?
Yep. Oh, Massachusetts is unless a lot of people don't realize it. Everyone think, oh, Massachusetts, baked beans, clam chowder, lobster. Yeah. No, it's about a roast beef super three-way. It's about sauce, cheese, and mayo on an onion roll, roast beef sandwich, and then getting some seasoned waffle fries and dipping it in cheese sauce
Oh my
is
god.
what Massachusetts is about for someone who's from Massachusetts. Now, if you're not from Massachusetts, you think baked beans, lobster, clam chowder. That's all great, but if you're from there, you're
You're
not
just
thinking
like,
of you
yeah.
like those things are cool, but it's not what it's about. It's about the roast beef super three-way.
Yeah, it's just the touristy shit. God,
Yeah,
I'm
and it's
missing
good,
all the
but
East
it's
Coast
good.
food. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I'm not clam chowder in Massachusetts is amazing. I'm just saying that's the heart of like Massachusetts food for a townie or for someone that's Massachusetts, or they all have their own favorite place and everyone's got a different favorite place. That's the thing. It's a roast beef sandwich.
So I got this bullshit thing I do at the end called the speed round, where I ask you a bunch of questions, and
Okay.
you basically just answer them quickly or whatever, however long you want to take. It doesn't matter. Favorite saves the day song.
Favorite Saves the Day song. Fuck. So I'm already losing because I'm taking too long.
No, you're fine.
Most important Saves the Day song is At Your Funeral. Favorite Saves the Day song is probably Tomorrow Too Late. I think if I'm gonna, yeah, probably Tomorrow Too Late.
Favorite football team.
Patriots.
Go Bills.
Sorry.
Favorite
Wrong
hockey.
answer for you. Sorry. Bruins. Sorry.
Favorite hockey team.
Bruins.
Bruins. Favorite food.
Tex-Mex. Border Cafe. Route 1.
But there's not like a specific just item.
Chicken burro. Chicken burro. French fries. Giant fucking glass of ginger ale or a strawberry margarita.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Chicken burro at Border Cafe or a burrito at Tenosh in Somerville, probably. And then in Charlotte, I don't really have a favorite place here. I would say Midwood Smokehouse, and I would get burnt ends and beef brisket.
Ooh.
Would be my favorite thing here. It's just you can't eat that all the time because it will ruin you.
Yeah, it'll definitely ruin you.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of already know this one, but cats or dogs?
Cats, but I love dogs.
Okay, that's good. Favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday? Oh man. Christmas, because of the tradition of watching the movies and eating food until you pass out.
Oh yeah.
So I think Christmas, but and more in the lines of treating Christmas like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Okay. Favorite record store?
Favorite record store
Mm-hmm.
that I've ever been to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude. Lunchbox here is amazing. I would say Lunchbox. It's unbelievable in Charlotte. Yeah, in Plaza Midwood.
Another question I probably know. Favorite tour food to get on the road?
Definitely not Subway.
Oh yeah, fuck Subway, dude.
Fuck
Subway gave me like literally the worst sickness in my life. I literally had Subway, and I'm almost positive it was Subway that did this. I had like incredible stomach pains and like just stomach sickness for 3 weeks. And I was working at Lexus at the time, like the car dealership. And after 3 weeks of just being in pain and getting sick and all this shit, I literally just like stopped my shift, went to my boss's office and was like, I'm going to the hospital. And he's like, oh, is somebody hurt? Like, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, it's me. Like, I'm literally like in the worst pain of my life. Been like this for 3 weeks. He's like, oh shit. So I go to the hospital, and yeah, I had like whatever that, I can't remember what it's called, but that one like stomach sickness from food poisoning that it lasts for like weeks, and it was the worst nightmare of my life.
Oh, but yeah, favorite food from the road.
Definitely not.
Like, is it a chain? Are you talking about a chain, or are you talking about like a single
like a
place?
food item, even, or a place? I guess that would make.
I would say favorite food item. This sucks. My answers suck. I would say mashed potatoes from Wawa is what I miss the most, and then yeah, and then just Mexican food in Texas. Is what I and Philly cheesesteaks definitely up there. There's all different stuff. Long Island bagels up there, but I would say this probably a lot of people find that disgusting, but probably Wawa mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes are actually my favorite food personally. That's hilarious. And I actually had Philly cheesesteak in Philly, and I must have went to like the worst spot because it sucked. So
did you go to Geno's?
I don't like.
There's Geno's and Pat's. I like Pat's more than Geno's. Yeah. And then there's a few other places like hole in the wall places. I don't remember their names, but I remember them being better than both places.
I had a chicken in the grass, which was really good. I can't remember where I got that. That was good. Yeah, I was in a band like a long time ago. I was like a synth player. And we
Cool.
played one show in Philly and we just went out and got food and I just had the worst cheesesteak ever. And I can't remember where it was from. It's probably like one of the chains.
But you say you're from Buffalo, so you're gonna have you
Yeah.
probably had a fucking cheesesteak that was better than a tourist cheesesteak, and that's why. Because that's what I had. I had J&M's subs in Saugus, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
That was straight out of like this place. This place just seemed like it was from another era. Like it's just this old shop. It looked like one of the first sub shops that ever existed. Period. Like this place is old. And I remember just everything about it. Getting a steak and cheese there was so fucking good.
Oh,
And I remember going, like, hearing the hype about a Philly cheesesteak and then just seeing the cheese whiz on this tiny, the roll was like, it was a Geno's. It was like this big.
yeah.
And I remember holding this little thing in my hand and seeing the cheese whiz. And I'm just like, really?
Really?
But it was great. It was great. It was like
Yeah.
good for what it was. But I remember just having J&M's, this like football sized fucking sub, perfect bread, perfectly cooked, everything, and being like, I think I had the hole in the wall kind of Philly cheesesteak where I lived in my town, specifically with J&M subs, and then had Pat's and Geno's and being let down because I was expecting better than what I grew up having.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, well, this is what they're known for. So this is going to be better than what I had at home. But what I had at home was just what they do in Philly, except no cheese whiz. It was,
No, there's nothing better than like a good hole in the wall. So favorite venue to play?
Chain Reaction was my favorite venue because I got to run across the wall. Like there was like these speakers and they were kind of ramp shaped at the time when we first played there. And I remember people running across the stage and then running across the wall.
Yeah.
And the venue that I miss,
Chain Reaction here.
He's talking about
Chain Reaction.
Anaheim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was my favorite venue because of the history behind it. And then seeing it as an obstacle course or a challenge, or again, that Tony Hawk Pro Skater, like, or like going like the trick or like the technique of doing something. In the same reason why on Warped Tour, I wanted to like stand on a boogie board and like balance on it and then flip off or whatever. It was just the fact that the show became anything related to like Nickelodeon Guts.
Oh, dude, I fucking loved Guts.
Like physically, my favorite venue is probably that venue for that aspect and the history behind it. But favorite venue for the rest of my life, if I had to like pay, if you told me I'd have to pay like $5,000 to see a band play somewhere again, it would probably be the Salem Elks Lodge in Salem, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Seeing Our New Year or Reach the Sky or like any Massachusetts band that I think was awesome and I wish more people knew about, and seeing it in that little room that basically got me into punk rock in the beginning. And that's where I would want to go. That is my favorite venue. That's where everything started for me before I ever played in a band, was going to shows and seeing all the kids that would smoke cigarettes out around the venue and in the parking lot and missing all the fucking awesome bands play.
Yeah.
But then being inside with all the people that wanted to see music and actually be there and learn the words before the show or the couple days before the show, or if the band came through again, know it from before. That is my favorite venue, period. And also, dude, Long Island basement shows, playing in Long Island, playing with the Agent, playing with Crime and Stereo. There's something about Long Island that doesn't exist anywhere else in the country. And then one other place, I guess I can't pick one, but Detroit, playing the Metal Frat, and I think that was in Ann Arbor. Those shows were incredible. There was so many Detroit shows. I think for just overall crowds, man, Long Island and Detroit held it the fuck down.
Shout out to Fireworks.
Best time, best show, best crowds.
Yeah.
Some of the best crowds are in Detroit and Long Island for sure.
Guilty pleasure artist or band?
Guilty pleasure. So they're kind of embarrassing to listen to. It has to be like slightly embarrassing.
Yeah, kind of.
I don't know, man.
I mean, I don't
I
think
really like
anything's
Jane
embarrassing.
says. Jane says by Jane's Addiction. I don't really like Jane's Addiction, but I remember really liking that song.
Okay.
That song I really like, and it even has this like under the sea, like Little Mermaid, like doo doo doo, like sounds in there that are really bad, and I
Yeah.
like that. Um,
Any bands
I'm very
with Breeze? Any bands with Breeze?
no. I don't really have like I'm very like I don't want to say like elitist with my music, but I'm very much like I don't listen to anything I would say that is
To Beyond.
embarrassing or like goofy.
Yeah.
The goofiest thing that I listened to this week was MC Chris, Boba Fett. That song, "My Backpacks Got Jets." Boba.
Yeah.
What's that? That song. That's embarrassing. That song. His voice is so ridiculous. He sounds like it's such a goofy voice.
Yeah.
Listening to that song a few times this week was definitely a guilty pleasure. And then his other song, what's that other one? The one where in Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Where is it? I was actually looking at the lyrics. I have it right here. Oh, Candy. I want candy, bubblegum and taffy. Skip to that whole song.
Yeah.
That's a guilty pleasure. So I guess MC Chris is a guilty pleasure.
That's a good one though. Favorite The Story So Far song?
Quicksand.
I was learning that today on guitar actually. Grape jelly or strawberry jelly?
Strawberry jelly all the way, especially on breakfast on toast, dude.
Everyone says
Unbelievable.
that. Everyone says strawberry. I love grape.
Grape, they give you grape. You get it with peanut butter and jelly. You get it so much that you forget how it tastes. Like, you know what I mean? It's so much of it. You have
Yeah.
strawberry jelly, you're like, oh wow, this exists.
Ooh, this is
Great.
new.
You know?
I get that.
Yeah.
Favorite candy?
Bubblegum and taffy. Uh, I'm gonna my friend Matt's gonna listen to this podcast just because I did that. Never mind. Favorite candy, favorite like commercial candy is probably a Midnight Milky Way, which is not a very popular one. But overall, I would just say Belgium chocolate, Belgium milk chocolate, and I love
Okay.
dark chocolate the most, but Belgium milk chocolate at Trader Joe's is fucking amazing.
Dude, hardly anybody likes dark chocolate. That's amazing.
I love dark chocolate.
I do too.
But yeah, I guess so. I don't really eat a
Tacos,
lot of candy anymore because going to the dentist is so fucking expensive.
tacos or burritos?
Burritos,
Okay.
carnitas
Oh,
burrito.
have you ever been to Sombrero in San Diego, the Blink one?
Yes,
Very good.
once I think.
I think
Unfortunately, only once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite transit record?
Joyride, definitely, because you're always gonna, if you're doing exactly what you want to do, you're always gonna pick the last thing you did because it's closest to what you actually love and listen to.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that one, I still listen to all the bands that inspired me on that record, and what I'm working on now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm inspired by similar bands. It's not going to sound like that at all, but
Yeah.
I'm still listening to a lot of those same bands. Death Cab, Broken Social Scene, Modest Mouse inspired me. Rilo Kiley inspired the last song on there too. I actually have a reference to Rilo Kiley in the last song on that record too, I believe. But yeah, and I have I have a Death Cab reference in one of the songs. I think Saturday, Sunday, or one of the earlier songs in the record. But yeah, Joyride.
Hell yeah. Favorite transit song?
Probably Indoor Voices off of the acoustic album, Something Left Behind.
Damn.
But if I look it up, only one I'm very proud of. I'm really proud of the only one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say off Listen and Forgive, my favorite song is 1978, which was actually on the acoustic record as well. And Cutting Corners was really fun to play live.
Yeah.
Off of Young New England, my favorite song is Summer Me. And off of Joyride, my favorite song is
Sweet Resistance.
No, I'd probably say
I love that one.
Follow Me or Sweet Resistance. I really like. I don't know. I think there's a vibe with The Only One. It's a dark vibe, which I think The Only One's my favorite song because of that. And yeah, so that's it.
Favorite video game?
Let's give you a 5. Favorite video game?
Yeah.
Favorite video game is
Of all time.
favorite video game of all time.
Could be any era. Doesn't matter.
Sorry
what
to put you
console.
in this position.
Favorite video game of all time, if I have to pick one, is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Oh, damn.
That's my favorite one. But Breath of the Wild is amazing. I have most of it completed, which I'm very proud of. And it fucking takes forever. So many collectible things.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is amazing. It's one of the best ones to ever come out. Cinematically, the greatest Zelda game is, besides it being outdated because of N64, like the story and the movie aspect of the Zelda game, the best one is absolutely Ocarina of Time. Breath of the Wild is the best open world, like 3D Zelda. And the creepiest, most metal Zelda is Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And the one you have to play every year, if you're a true Zelda fan, is the original Zelda for NES, because that's where it started. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Zelda series. I love Wind Waker, and I liked it when it came out, even though everyone was shitting on it because it was cartoony. I did not play Skyward Sword. I missed Skyward Sword, and I missed like one of the DS games. I played a little bit of it. I didn't like how like the stylist works, but if I was cool, I'd probably say Final Fantasy VII, but I'm not. I'll pick a Zelda title, Link to the Past. Love Angry Video Game Nerd on YouTube. I've been watching the shitload of that. But yeah.
Favorite movie?
That's that. That's my long ass answer. Favorite movie? Not possible. I like movies too much. Favorite Quentin Tarantino movie is Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, really?
The one I find the coolest stylistically is Pulp Fiction.
That's my
But
favorite.
I think his greatest scene is the first scene of Inglourious Bastards, the milk scene, where he's like smoking his pipe. I think that's the best scene he's ever done. But favorite movie of all time is Fellowship of the Ring.
Wow.
I love Tolkien. I can tell you more about Tolkien than probably anyone you've met. And I love the first Lord of the Rings movie.
Favorite TV show?
These are so hard.
I know.
Oh, X-Files, if we're talking my whole life. But favorite season of a show is True Detective season 1.
Okay.
It's unbelievable. It's like the X-Files, but done really well visually, tastefully, not campy, not corny, not outdated. True Detective season 1 is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, I heard it.
Dude, I actually
hop on that train.
I started binge watching it a couple months ago, and it's like David Duchovny's so amazing as
X-Files.
Yeah.
But it doesn't age well.
It doesn't, but it's so entertaining and it's so good. But then again, now that I've watched Californication, I can't always take David seriously.
No, it ruins it. I would say it's really hard to not pick The Sopranos. Sopranos is amazing. But if I had to pick, and I love Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's unfucking believable. But if I had to, if you're giving me a question that difficult as favorite TV show, I will have to say, what's my favorite season of a show? It would say True Detective because of how much I love X-Files, but how well True Detective captured the feeling of the cool aspect of X-Files. I feel like it captured that, but it also added this high fantasy element to it, where because one of the Matthew McConaughey's character is kind of meddling in drugs during that show. And sometimes in the background, the sky will just start doing weird, swirly shit. And they just add these subtle visual effects to a show, to a thriller kind of show that never would have that. Kind of mixing genres. And the villain of that is so fucking good. And how I don't know if you guys have seen it, right? So no spoilers.
No.
But the fact that the villain like appears, but you don't realize it's him, and he's just this minor role, and he was right there the whole time, and you could have arrested him then, but you just didn't. You didn't pay attention, and then all this bad shit happens, and I don't know, dude. That season 1 of True Detective is just fucking perfect. Yeah.
What are you most proud of?
Most proud of is my positivity to life, still being as excited about life as I was when I was a little kid. Learning what the world was to begin with is what I'm most proud of, more so than any like accomplishment of a band or graduating from school is a big one. Like graduating from Wentworth Institute of Technology was a big one. Owning a house is a big one. Finding the love of my life and having such a beautiful relationship with my wife is a big one. Having the friends I have, I'm really proud of, and staying a positive aspect of other people's lives and vice versa. But I'd say all that stuff comes from having a positive mental attitude towards life. That's what I'm most proud of, because that's what's given me everything.
And is there anything coming up that you would like to promote?
Yes. Just You Got to Hear This, the podcast that I've been doing. We put it out every Monday, and we record it every Sunday. And then Narrowcast. So it's me and Matt Morin and Aviv Maratz, that are basically long lost. So the side project I had with Transit was called Long Lost, and the record was called Save Yourself, Start Again. And it's mostly members of that. Not on every song, but it's me and Matt Morin, who's one of my closest friends, and he's my closest friend. Like he's basically a brother to me at this point. It's me and him. It's our brainchild, and then Aviv will work on the drums, and then our friend Joe will work on bass. And they're not there. I would say Aviv's in the band. I don't really know. He's just doing so many different things that I would say it's mostly me and Matt's brainchild. And we have some really awesome musicians that are working on it with us, I guess. And it's called Narrowcast. Okay. We have a few songs coming out, and then we'll have an EP out, and then we'll have some cover songs that we're really excited for, because we kind of took a different spin on some songs, and then we got a few more in the works. So cool. Narrowcast, and You Got to Hear This podcast.
And you're on Featured X now. What's Featured X exactly? That's like you pay somebody.
Basically, you can reach out and you can have someone sing on your record.
Yeah.
And you can go directly through them as a source. I haven't done one yet, but I haven't really promoted as much as I should.
Yeah.
Because of I think it's because of the podcast. I got so excited about the podcast. But I am on there. So if you do want to have me sing on one of your band songs, I'm there. I got some recording equipment at home. Like I have mics, and I also have Gage Owens in High Point, North Carolina. He's unfucking believable. He recorded my vocals for Narrowcast, and Adam Lazara recorded songs, like recorded the vocals with me, like helped me record them with his home setup on 3 of the songs. And then Gage did about 3 songs, a cover, and then he did my guest vocal for Camille Nolan, John Nolan's wife. So I recorded my vocals for that with him. So I have him to thank for a lot of Narrowcast, because he's letting me record with him, and he's so easy to work with that I'm just so happy that I found someone down in North Carolina to go to. Like, like what the fuck? Like, how did that happen? So I got really lucky with finding him, and Adam recording. I didn't know he was recording like anything like that wasn't his band. You know what I mean? Like going to a studio. But yeah, he's an engineer as well, and I'm really thankful that I got to record with him as well.
So where can your fans find you? I know you're on Instagram. What's your handle?
Yeah. Instagram is still Joe B Transit MA.
Okay.
I sent a song request on Ben Gibbard was doing the at home, like the quarantine at home. So you basically would send the singer Death Cab for Cutie song request. and he picked my song, which was a Bob Dylan song, If Not For You. And then he made fun of my handle on his thing because it was just so clunky. But yeah, it's Joe B, Joeb, Transit MA for Massachusetts. And you can find me on there. And I basically put out everything on that handle.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this for us, man. This was fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
And you had a hell of a story to tell, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Many good stories.
I'm a talker. I'll go all day. I'm like losing my voice, but yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. When will this be out?
Hopefully tonight. Probably by tonight. I'll put
cool.
it on Spotify and YouTube too, usually. So.
Awesome. I definitely want to be on it again. Sorry it took so long to get to us to do it. I've just been juggling so much stuff.
Oh, dude, you're working on so much at once. It's amazing.
Yeah, and we're trying to fix up the house too, so I'm glad I could do this.
Yeah,
and
sure.
definitely want to have you on again. If you're definitely doing any specific episodes about like video games or movies, probably video games would be a good one. But let me know. People don't realize this, but video games to me are very important, like music. Like when I found the Beatles, I found Zelda and Mega Man and like everything at the same time.
Absolutely.
And there's literally songs on Joyride that I don't think I think some of the melodies, the really catchy, faster ones, definitely have influence from Nintendo games, from me listening to them over and over while we're in the studio, like these games, and then going to record, which is very random. Yeah, Mega Man is definitely somewhere in Joyride.
Hell yeah, that's freaking sick. Cool.
It's random, yeah.
Check out the You Gotta Hear This podcast. Sick. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Hell yeah, take care.
Right, take it easy, Joe.
Awesome.
All right, bye.
See ya.
See you. Damn.
Ready and